Hello, everybody. Welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. It is December 17th, 2025. The holidays are rapidly approaching. 2025 is almost over. How does that feel? It feels like it's going to be 2026. I can't believe it. Where the fuck are the years going? How is life going by so fast? What the hell? It was a down year for me. I'm so glad it's over. Yeah, it was a dog shit. What? 2025 sucked. Suck shit. Honestly, every year has sucked shit since it's been a minute. I don't know, 2016? MIT director of Plasma Science and Fusion Center found shot dead in his home yesterday. Isn't that interesting, chat? Because we just did a discussion of fusion technology yesterday. I'm sorry, chat, but you should not be in the United States of America. It is not fucking safe. It is not fucking safe. It's relatively, the older you get, the faster it seems to fly. I also think that you have a lot more habits. You know what I mean? You have a lot of like similar days as you get older. And so they're not as memorable. You're not having as many first experiences. All right, chat. I cannot believe it, but we have right now a golden Kappa hype train. Now, I don't know if my luck is crazy right now, but we've had treasure trades and golden Kappa hype trades out the motherfucking ass. So if you're not familiar with what a golden Kappa hype trade is, there is this unbelievably coveted, desired emote called the golden Kappa. I don't know about you, but I'm throwing Kappas left and right in my Twitch chatting. So when I have the opportunity to have a golden Kappa, I'm like, wow, I have to throw some money at that streamer. Throwing Kappas like it's 2012. Hell yeah, brother. And so when you have the opportunity to give Mike from PA money because he has a golden Kappa hype trade, I feel like it's required. I feel like you could support this channel. You can help the stream grow. You can help create a bubble of protection around me. And you get the unbelievably cool and coveted golden Kappa. Wow. I mean, how can you not give? Green Bass Guy, Ken Coldblood, Ludi Hayes. And hell, if we hit level 15, then I won't even have to shill today, which is another, I mean, more than I already am. But, you know, whatever. Fuck it. Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful morning. It's so funny, chat. I think there might be something wrong with me. And when I say that, it's because I sleep and I wake up at the exact right time. And I just seem unaffected by sleeping less. Now, I try to sleep 7 hours, and that's what my body naturally wants. Crazy. I think it might be, yeah, it's got to be my autism. There's something going on. Because I went out last night and came back, you know, and no hangover, not tired. Crazy. It's a beautiful morning. Everyone is realizing what a racist piece of shit that fucking panda is. Oh, organizer memes? Yeah, the guy who tried to call me anti-Semitic. Turns out he's a Zionist. Who knew? Wow, I can't believe organizer memes is being exposed as a Zionist. Who could have figured that out? Somebody attacks Mike from PA, that equals they are a bad person. Now, I don't think that just because someone attacks me, that makes them bad. I'm not a narcissist like 99% of content creators where they take every personal slight as some deep reveal of how evil you are. I just can't help at this point but notice that when people start like attacking me, they have real weird abuser, Zionist, sex pest vibes every time. It's fucking weird. And it includes Twitch streamers. I always find out they're into some weird shit. Anyway, chat, we have a golden Kappa hype train. Right now, if you gift a sub, hey Wap Mop, how you doing? Resub, a Twitch Prime sub, or you give at least 200 bits during this period, you will get access to the golden Kappa hype train. Wow. Judge me by my enemies goes so hard. It does. One of the things that's really funny. Oh, chat, we might not watch it today, but there is a new video.
Now look at this fucking vile pig.
Called the Ethan Klein Content Terminator. Maybe I'll watch this tomorrow. You have to watch it, and I'll tell you why. Because I am friends with 3 out of these 4 women. I don't know who this woman is. I'm sorry. I want to create a counter narrative. And I think part of that is, yes, Ethan Klein is annoying. He's worthless. Nobody really cares what this fucking... By the way, he has the shortest legs I've ever seen. What the fuck? What the fuck? Anyway, I'm sorry. I just noticed this. I think, by the way, I think Ethan Klein and I fighting would actually be good content. I actually think Ethan Klein and I fighting, like in real life, like in a boxing match or any other kind of sanctioned competition, that would actually be good content. There's only one. I mean, honestly, he might be the only person that I would legitimately get back into the ring for. Because I used to box, but it was 24 years ago, 23 years ago. So I'm out of practice. So I think if I could get back into the cardio shape. You were 5 years old? No, I was 19. I was 18, 19. They won't sanction the fight. Ethan is too much of a slob and won't train. That's fine with me. It could just be a friendly sparring match. Too autistic to lie about your age? Why the fuck would I do that? Why the fuck would I do that? Why the fuck would I lie about my age? What, is getting older shameful or something? 41. Wait, you two are the same age? Man, yeah, no. I think I might be Ethan Klein birthday. I might be, yeah, I'm older than Ethan. Hey, Aegis, thanks for the 5 tier 1s. I'm older than Ethan. Although I don't know why it has this picture. Why is Timothy Norris picture there for Ethan Klein date of birth? God, he's only 40? I thought he was older than me. He looks absolutely terrible. I mean, all these photos are from when he was like obese and happy. These are all really old photos. Oh, I didn't know that. Ethan looks like Ozempic Trotsky. Don't ever compare him to Trotsky. Don't ever compare. Trotsky is a real world historical figure. He led the reorganization of the Red Army and is probably one of the most important people for the success of the Russian Revolution. Ethan Klein can't reorganize his fucking butt wipes drawer. Okay, like don't even compare the two. It's honestly, you know, like Trotsky lived through a revolution and and World War I and like famines, and Ethan Klein lived through whether or not he was going to get a second dozen box of crumble cookies or not. So this is why no one will play Rivals with me. You know what I've been addicted to, chat? Arc Raiders. I'm a gamer at heart, but I haven't been gaming as much as the Arc Raiders. It's honestly, you play Arc Raiders last night? No, I did not. I have not played since the new patch. I will play Arc Raiders when they flesh it out a bit. I feel like, obviously, it's not a complete game. Oh, chat, the Gold Kappa Hype Train has 20 seconds left. For a limited time, you can get a Gold Kappa Hype Train, a Gold Kappa emote site-wide. We have 10 seconds. Quickly, gift at least 1 sub, resub, prime sub, 200 bits. You're running out of time. Nice. All right, thank you, everybody. Wyatt, thank you. And Spiral, you got in under the wire. Everybody else got fucked. Golden Kappa Hype Train. I have seen you playing with Neswa a few times. Yes. Neswa and I, last time we played, we did our trials grind, and we hit Daredevil 1. That's where I finished the season at, Daredevil 1. Get those gold kappas in the chat. Flow with the gold kappas. Flow with the gold kappas. I saw the notification that you were playing Arc Raiders on Will's stream. LMAO. Nice. Mike, do a gaming stream and I'll empty my bank account to gift 50. All right, everybody. Everybody. Okay, I'm putting a mod comment. Promised Mike 50 gifted to do a gaming stream. Well, you know, chat, I recently was offered a gaming sponsorship opportunity. Thousands of dollars to play a video game on stream for 1 hour. And it's a game that I already have played. Rivals Petties. I mean, maybe for some people it's Petties, but for other people it's not. Do a Gamba, because I will put all my money on Mike never playing Arc Raiders on this channel. Oh, that's not a good bet. That's not a good bet. That's a bad bet. You could lose that bet. I would say there's probably a 5% chance I play Arc Raiders on this channel, which is a pretty high percentage. I wouldn't gamble all my life savings on a 5% chance of losing. That's rolling 1d20 and going, as long as I don't hit a 1. Well, that's pretty risky in my opinion. I don't think you should make bets like that. Have you seen the reports on how well the Tesla robotaxis are doing? Tesla's robotaxi is crashing roughly every 40,000 miles so far in Austin, and that's with a human safety supervisor in vehicle. For comparison, the average human driver in the U.S. crashes about once every 500,000 miles. I don't like... I just bought Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance. Oh, yeah, I love that game. I completed that game. That's a good game. All right, let's keep going.
Never had an advanced capitalist economy have a socialist revolution. Every country that's had a socialist revolution did not have the economy, technology, or infrastructure necessary to support a socialist economy that is post-scarcity, where everyone has everything they need to live and they don't have to struggle to exist. Marx laid out economic stages of history, where in each stage, the economy and infrastructure is built up that's necessary to support the next one. In order to get to that stage, you have to have a revolution throwing off the rulers who don't want to give up their power, right? And so you have feudalism, revolution, capitalism, revolution, socialism. And then once everyone's socialist, you have communism, right? Well, to this day, every country that's moved into socialism went from feudalism straight into socialism. And they didn't have the economy or infrastructure necessary to support it. So they had to force industrialization. Marx laid out that it'd be advanced capitalism.
What was the best RPG at the Gamer Awards? Oh, Expedition 33. Okay. I booted up Expedition 33, but my computer was crashing because of the stupid Intel, shit. Intel fried chip fucking problems. So I had to fix my operating, my BIOS settings and my timings and all this stupid bullshit. So I played Expedition 33 a little bit, but it kept crashing, so I just quit. I fell out. Should I actually play it? You couldn't do it because you wanted to explore every spot and break open every barrel. Yeah, that's my problem with RPGs. My problem with RPGs is I have goblin loot or, syndrome, where it's like I have to open every trash can. You give me trash cans to open, I'll open the trash cans. Honestly, the fact that I finished Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance shows you how good that game is, because I opened every fucking barrel that I could. So, you know what I mean? What stopped me from finishing Baldur's Gate 3 is because I kept playing it multiplayer with different groups of people. And I played Act 1 like 10 fucking times. I swear to God. So I need to go back and do like a solo run through of Baldur's Gate 3. Did I do a Dark Urge playthrough? No. I made my own character. I made like a warlock paladin, very, very min-maxy Mike from PA bullshit. I was a vengeance paladin with, fucking warlock hexblade. Oh, you're one of those players? No, I like those kind of... I, honest to God, like hexadins. When I play D&D, I'm just attracted to the idea of that kind of character. Mike, you should play Silk Song. Anyway, okay. Well, here we are. We're now 30 minutes into the stream. Welcome in, everybody. We had a golden kappa hype train already. Min-maxer. No, it's not that I'm a min-maxer. It's just that I'm a min-maxer. So let me explain what I mean by that. I enjoy playing these games, but I have a compulsion to really understand the systems. Because if I don't understand the systems, I don't enjoy the game. I don't like to just make random decisions. I have to I want to think about the decision and then make the decision. So in order for me to feel good about playing a game, I feel like I have to understand the entire all the systems of the game. This is like the worst part of me being a gamer. Is that I feel like every time I get a game, I'm like, okay, I have to tear this game apart to understand it. And it sucks. It fucking blows. I have bought EU5 and I legitimately have not played past 1340 because I'm like studying the game. And I don't feel like I understand the significance of the decisions good enough to play the fucking game. It'll take me like 2 months to actually play EU5. Do you also rebind your controls for every game? I mean, some. Like I hate control for crouch. I think whoever decided that control should be the button for crouch should be slapped in the face. I think control for crouch is the dumbest control scheme I've ever seen. I change it to C. C is for crouch. But so many games have control for crouch, and I think that is fucking terrible. C for crouch is bizarre. What the fuck are you talking about? Right there, it's easy. The fuck? Did I use alt? Alt is fine. Alt is fine. Control is terrible. This take is the equivalent of swearing by spaces for tabs and coding. No, you're the space people. The control people are the space people. The C people are the tab people. Like that's the reality. You're the space people. Control should be a modifier for other key bindings, like control +1. It should not be like, I am getting crouched now. No, that's fucking awful. Honestly, control for inventory is a good idea, to be honest with you. I think control for inventory is a good idea. That's a much better use for that button. If I were to do wild fucking key bindings, if I was God, I would do something like that. What games need crouching and inventory? Arc Raiders. What if you have to move your index from D? Okay, fine. Just use your middle on D as you're doing that. Who gives a fuck? Also, I don't use my index finger. I use my pinky for A. Oh, that's okay. I get why you guys are weird. That's terrible.
We've never had an advanced capitalist economy have a socialist revolution before.
Okay, anyway, what was I saying? His figures are so long that he uses WASD, 2QWE, crouches shift. That's just awful. Pinky for A is psychotic. You mean that's just the way it goes? I use WASD. What do you think of controller gaming on PC setup? Terrible. Terrible. The reality is that controllers, you're not really playing the game. The game has to have a lot of help for controllers and things like first-person shooters. So that basically you get auto aim, and the best controller players are people that know how to quickly and efficiently get the game auto aiming. So they know how to flick to the auto aims. It's not good. I don't like controllers. I don't think aim assist should exist. These are my most right-wing takes. Mike, have you ever played Dark Souls? I played Sekiro. I 100%ed Sekiro. The only games that are controller games are ones where you're like piloting something. I think I ended up using a controller for Sekiro. Yeah, no, I did. I didn't mouse and keyboard. I don't mouse and keyboard my Souls games. Will I be playing Ace Combat? Can I be honest about Ace Combat? It's too arcadey for me. It's not, it doesn't feel like you're really flying a plane. I like it, I play it, but I'm just like, I probably would prefer a little bit more simulation. Wait a minute. Okay, chat. Queso said he wants to unionize.
Unions help workers around the world to negotiate together and obtain.
Great to know.
I'm about to unionize right now. These working conditions are ridiculous.
I wish he was serious, chat. I wish he was serious. I actually think that it would make the online space a lot better if we had a union. I think one of the worst parts about streaming in general is the lack of solidarity and the way that people are incentivized to be backstabbing scum. And I think things like unions and institutions that are democratically organized would be a good offset to the kind of like, basically streaming is like WWE, and the biggest streamers are all Hulk Hogan's, and it's, you know, we need Jesse Ventura's, but people that win. He used to work blue collar jobs. I think he worked 12-hour days before at a flour mill or something. Yeah, I feel like Queso is pretty based. Am I wrong? Okay, let's finish this.
Every country that's had a socialist to work.
All right, let's watch this video again. I didn't really react. I got distracted.
Have a socialist revolution before. Every country that's had a socialist revolution did not have the economy, technology, or infrastructure necessary to support a socialist economy that is post-scarcity, where everyone has everything that they need to live and they don't have to struggle to exist. Marx laid out economic stages of history, where in each stage, the economy and infrastructure is built up that's necessary to support the next one. In order to get to that stage, you have to have a revolution throwing off the rulers who don't want to give up their power, right? And so you have feudalism, revolution, capitalism, revolution, socialism. And then once everyone's socialist, you have communism, right? Well, to this day, every country that's moved into socialism went from feudalism straight into socialism. And they didn't have the economy or infrastructure necessary to support it. So they had to force industrialization. Marx laid out that it'd be advanced capitalist economies where the infrastructure and economy has been developed sufficiently to support a socialist system, and people can see that it's there, but it's not working for the majority of people because the capitalists are hoarding the wealth. Countries like current-day United States, Russia in 1917. Socialism objectively helped the citizens of every country it was tried in. But the fact that it didn't truly work in most of them, beyond the fact that the United States suppressed it and tried to make it not work, beyond that, we've never had the technology and infrastructure to actually support it in a country that's tried it. The closest thing that we have is China, where China went from feudalism straight into socialism and then kind of backtracked and started doing capitalism. But they teach Marx in school.
Okay, so the difference between China and the United States, nobody would say that reform and opening up is not involving capitalism. No one would say that. In fact, that was the whole point. The point is that doing socialism in one country is not possible. That the stages of development have to be gone through. You can't jump over them. As much as or at least we don't have the technology to jump over them. You might imagine in a communist future that if Atlantis suddenly rose out of the Pacific Ocean and people went to settle the new continent, that they would be able to have it, bring the technology in to do socialism from the get-go. But we don't have it yet. And we don't have we don't have the development in the world push the communism button and then be in communism. And like, I think that the biggest argument that we had in the 20th century is being kind of resolved. And because people like people in because the Soviet Union was such a powerful country, they argued that you just didn't need to do capitalism at all. You could just do a command economy. You could just do you could just do 5-year plans. You could do centralized planning. You don't need to do capitalism. You can do state capitalism. You could do, state-led development. You don't need to rely on markets at all. And honestly, I think if you look at the record of the development of the two countries, the Soviet Union had a very strong case for a long time until the 70s. And after the 70s, it's looked like perhaps maybe Deng was cooking. Maybe he was right that in order for socialism to arise, you must have a certain level of productive capacity first. And that is the job of all of us in this transitional generation to develop the world, while also preventing capitalists from seizing the commanding heights of politics. And it's hard to disagree with the progress that's being made. Oh, what did Ben Norton say? Is this an hour video? God damn it. I think what Red Pen said, like Red Pen's video on Xi Jinping thought kind of explains it the best. Like Xi talks about like I don't want to watch the whole thing again, but he's just like, he basically says something like socialism is not like, you don't just push the communism button. Like I think he says something about, oh, here it is.
Just because there is a long way to go, or strengthen the legitimacy of the Chinese Communist Party and guide future governance. Learning from past leaders and adapting Marxism to China's evolving needs helps maintain political stability, reinforce party discipline, and address modern challenges while promoting a distinct Chinese path forward. Xi Jinping asserts that communism is not as simple as a meal of goulash, and it cannot be attained easily, but we cannot dismiss it as an illusion or choose not to be loyal communists just because there is a long way to go. Our revolutionary ideals are of supreme importance. Communism is the ultimate ideal of communists, and it needs generations of strenuous effort to achieve. If we all see it as no more than an illusion, if we deem it unworthy of hard work and sacrifice, communism will never come. What we do today in upholding and developing Chinese socialism is the real effort towards the ultimate ideal.
I think basically what Xi is saying there is it's like, in order for I think a lot of people want instant gratification, because who doesn't want to be gratified instantly, like obviously, and we wish there was just one button that we could push and then suddenly it would deliver socialism. And I think honestly we need to develop the world and we need to develop technology. When we have fusion, you know what I mean? Like that is the goal. And we need to do so by seizing power from the capitalists in this country. I think this country is developed enough for socialism. I don't think the United States need to be more developed at this point. We have the wealth. We have the technology. We have the know-how. We have the human capital. We have the resources. We could do socialism here. And as I was saying, yesterday we covered fusion technology development happening in China. But here in the United States, one of our most prominent fusion scientists was just murdered. Dear members of the MIT community, it's with great sadness I write to share the tragic news that Professor Nuno Irio, director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center, died early this morning from gunshot wounds he sustained a few hours before. In the face of this shocking loss, hearts go out to his wife and their family and his many devoted students, friends, and colleagues. The circumstances of his death are under police investigation, so no further details are available. Like, this is an unbelievable reality that America's most prominent scientists are getting assassinated in their homes or murdered. Born and raised in a small city in central Portugal, Nuno saw his path early on. As he explained in his 2018 profile at MIT News, even as a little boy, when everyone else wanted to be a policeman or fireman, he aspired to be a scientist. He pursued that dream in Lisbon with an undergraduate degree in physics at the Instituto Superior Tecnio Nicio, and then in London with a PhD in physics from Imperial College, where he fell in love with plasma physics. Following postdoctoral work at the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory and at the UK AEA Column Center for Fusion Energy in 2004, he returned to Portugal to become a principal investigator at the IST Lisbon's Institute for Plasmas and Nuclear Fusion. He was an expert on a fundamental plasma process called magnetic reconnection, as well as on magnetic field generation and amplification, confinement and transport and fusion plasmas and turbulence in strongly magnetized weakly collisional plasmas. In May 2024, he was chosen to lead the PSFC, one of MIT's largest labs. It's not hyperbole to say MIT is where you go to find solutions to humanity's biggest problems. Fusion is a hard problem, but it can be solved with resolve and ingenuity, characteristics that define MIT. Fusion energy will change the course of human history. It's both humbling and exciting to be leading a research center that will play a key role in enabling that change. So as a extremely prominent nuclear fusion scientist dying in his home here in the United States. And yesterday we talked about how important fusion technology will be for the future. Even if this is a home robbery gone wrong, it's insane that this is a thing that happens. Why would any internationally renowned scientist come to America when he could be murdered or kidnapped by ICE? I mean, he was an immigrant too. What's so funny about this is he was a fucking immigrant, and he was one of our most advanced scientists, but he was an immigrant. This is what made America strong. What made America strong is that people from around the world with talent would want to come here. And Donald Trump is basically saying, no, fuck those people. And he's been sacrificed on the altar of what? Guns for dopes? Oh, we don't want to make the tweaker have to go through a fucking background check before they get their Saturday night special. So I don't know if this was just a tweaker trying to rip fucking copper out of the walls or a targeted political assassination. Either way, America sucks. Any advice on how to get dudes in their 20s to be politically active? Most of the guys I'm friends with just seem completely apathetic about politics, and I don't want to come off as preachy. This is why electoral politics are important, because for normies, politics are oftentimes not seen as relevant. Especially when you're a young person and you're in the bubble of being protected and propped up by your family, and you're focused on your own individual work and achievement so that you can kind of start your own life. In order to like politicize people, there has to be a catalyzing agent. If somebody has absolutely no struggle and has absolutely no frictions with the status quo, well, then it's going to be harder to politically engage them, obviously. So if you're trying to politicize a group of people, my biggest tip for you as an agitator is to be asking questions. What's going on with their lives? What are their struggles? What are their problems? And kind of getting insight into what they need, where they're failing, where they're struggling, where their anxieties are. And then you tailor your message based on that information. Agitating requires agitation is not really the first step. The first step is gather information. Maoists call it the mass line, which is you go around and you talk to regular people about their problems, and then you try to formulate relevant, compelling solutions. So if you're trying to, politicize a group of people, you need to find out what the fuck is their problem. Mike, have you heard about the RCP? Unfortunately, the RCP is it glows. That's all I can say. It glows. And I am firmly opposed to all forms of Trotskyite thought. What is this? Oh, is that Bob Avakian? Bob Avakian is if like you were a small size Twitch streamer like Mike. Basically, if you were like me and I started declaring myself godlike and like the true socialist revolutionary leader, and like half of you started worshiping me. That's Bob Avakian, basically. Somebody had a violin and they were like, I want you to induce an anxiety attack. Play the music that you would play for a character that woke up late for like the final exam that would determine their entire life. All right, play the music in the movie.
Is that like a blur?
It is, but I love these notes. They just take me back to people.
Are you gonna do it? No.
Type them up.
I think this is such a smart move. With this past Sunday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., New Yorkers from every corner of our city traveled to the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria to share their dreams, their worries, their change they want to see across New York. It was an honor listening to each of them. I think this is a very good idea because one of the things about politics is it's not just about performing results. You have to be seen performing those results. People have a weird tendency of ascribing results to something random. So in order for you to not only achieve results, in order for your political movement to maintain cohesion and success, you have to be seen as responsible for them. I'll give you an example that you will all understand intuitively as correct. The ACA versus Obamacare, right? The Republicans severed all of the positive ideas from the ACA and from Obama. They would demonize Obamacare, but they would support the ACA. So when people were talking about like, oh, not having to be, prevented from going to a health insurance because of a pre-existing condition, or letting your 26-year-old child stay on your health insurance, all those ideas are super popular. But those are part of the ACA, see? Whereas, grandma's death panels, that's Obamacare. So in order for your healthcare system or your policy to be popular, not only does it have to deliver results, it also has to be seen as your results. Mike, Zohran's newest appointee.
The work that you will do will serve as the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, and Kat Almonte will serve as the Director of the Mayor's Office. New Yorkers have entrusted us with a responsibility. They voted for an administration that will work every day to make our city affordable, to make the work of government efficient and excellent. We can deliver on this promise. We will. but only if we have the brightest minds in this city leading these efforts. In Jamila Edwards, to my left, that's exactly what New Yorkers can expect. There are few leaders with records of as much sustained ambition and proven achievement. She possesses a deep knowledge of city government, having worked for borough presidents, public advocates, and the Department of Education. And she has spent the last 11 years leading the work done by DC 37, the largest public employee union in New York City, of which there are a few members here today, an organization deeply involved in nearly every facet of city government, from parks to sanitation to schools to the library workers that are here with us today. DC 37 represents the New Yorkers who keep this city running. She hasn't just held powerful roles, she has transformed what can be expected from them. The union I speak of is a mighty political force today, thanks in no small part to the efficacy of her organizing and the strategies she devised. And millions of New Yorkers have seen their wages rise, their lives improve, thanks to the $15 minimum wage hike that she helped us. When we are in City Hall, I will turn to Jamila to help us build the coalitions we need to enact durable solutions and secure the political relationships so necessary to follow through on these promises. None of this is abstract. Look where we are today, the Greenpoint branch of the Brooklyn Public Library. It is not simply a library. It is a monument to the power of political organizing. It is funded because of political negotiations. It is full of books because of budgetary decisions. It dispenses resources like career services and youth programming and citizenship classes because those with political power sought to do more with that power. And I cannot wait to see what Jamila can achieve, and I'm grateful to her for rededicating herself to public service. I'm also delighted that Kat DaCosta to my right will be joining our administration as the director of the Office of Appointment. Kat will oversee our talent recruitment efforts and help us build a team as hardworking as the city we're seeking to represent. Raised in Queens, Kat has a deep connection to our city and an extraordinary history of working across both the private sector and city government to build organizations that are streamlined, that are productive, and that are staffed by people who understand and care about the work they were hired to do. Thank you, Kat, for all the work that you have been doing over the course of this transition and all the work that you will do to ensure that the promise of this transition is fulfilled in the work of day-to-day city government. What we want to do, the three of us and the entire team, is to restore faith in our democracy by returning excellence and compassion to public service. That can only happen if we embody that excellence from the very top of this. And with today's appointments, that's exactly what New Yorkers will be able to expect. Please join me now in giving a warm welcome to our new Director of Appointments.
Good morning. My name is Kat DaCosta, and I am honored to be joining the Mamdani administration as Director of the Mayor. I want to thank the Mayor-elect for the opportunity to help build the team that will deliver a bold affordability agenda. As an immigrant from the Dominican Republic who landed in Corona, Queens, on a winter day much like this one, I bring to this work in the promise of New York and a commitment to expanding that promise for others. I know how important the affordability agenda is because I have seen it up close. I have felt it. For the first time in my life, I spent the holidays out of state because so many of my family members, they simply could not afford to. As a mother of two, I can't imagine. I know the constant financial anxiety that childcare. I want my daughters to grow up in a city filled with possibility. The New York that welcomed my newly immigrated family and shaped. And I know firsthand that Mayor-elect Mamdani allowed me to do just that. It is no surprise that this transformational vision for affordable city has already inspired a record number to step forward and raise their hand. I have spent the last decade working in talent management across governments, nonprofits, and the private sector, and one lesson has been constant. People are policy. People shape culture. People drive outcomes. And people determine whether bold ideas become lived realities. Too often, government fails to attract the very best talent. But New Yorkers deserve excellence, expertise, leadership equal to the scale of the challenges that we face. Delivering for New Yorkers means building a government that is both mission-driven, a government staffed by diverse leaders, skill, and the experiment to turn vision into. They have to reflect the rich diversity of race, language, and ethnicity that defines them. We have already begun recruiting top talent to join the administration and hit the ground running. Jamila is one of those brilliant and bold minds that has raised their hand and stepped forward. In these past few weeks, I've called expecting hesitation from folks. And instead, I've been surprised to be met with passion and urgency and an overwhelming desire. Many are not coming for title, but for the mission, not for the role, but for the work. And that spirit is exactly what New Yorkers. I cannot wait to continue this important work to help build a government people in. And now, en español. Buenos días, mi nombre es Candace Owens y es un honor unirme a la administración Mamdani como directora de la oficina de nombramientos del alcalde. Como inmigrante dominicana, sé lo difícil que es para muchas familias seguir viviendo en esta y lo importante que es que Nueva York sea más. Mi propia familia ha tenido que mudarse por los altos costos y como madre de 2 hijas, quiero tener la posibilidad de criarlas en esta ciudad que amo tanto. Por eso me inspira la visión del alcalde y me siento orgullosa de ayudar a construir un equipo representante de la diversidad y talento de nuestra ciudad, los cuales trabajaron para...
Listen, I wish I understood what she was saying.
para mejorar la vida de todos los neoyorquinos.
It is such a pleasure. And now I would like to, our new director.
Good morning. My name is Jamila Edwards, and it is my great and pleasure to this administration to thank Mayor Mamdani for the incredible opportunity, but also for more than a decade, I have been fighting, organizing, and advocating. And while much of that work has been done behind the scenes, it has always been driven by a commitment to dignity, economic justice. I came to know the mayor-elect alongside my DC 37, where I first saw firsthand his commitment to making this city affordable for working people is both steadfast and incredibly.
I think the thing about here's what I would say about Zohran Mamdani. This is basically his political strategy. And we have an interview that he did with one of my least favorite content creators in history, Trevor Noah. And the reality of Zohran Mamdani is he's basically saying, are you willing to work with me? If you're willing to work with me, hop on board. He's trying to do what I said is necessary, which is be seen as the smiling, happy warrior and force centrists to take shots at him so that when he responds, he looks like he's coming from a position of aggrievement and self-defense.
This is What Now with Trevor Noah. This episode is presented by Whole
I
Foods
really
Market.
don't like
Eat
Trevor
well
Noah.
for less.
I think Trevor Noah sucks ass. Fucking neoliberal scum, dude.
Thank you very much.
What did he win?
Very much. Huh?
He won an all expenses paid trip
Almost the Premier
to
League.
the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
All expenses paid trip to the Upper East Side. Caller number.
What number mayor are you, by the way?
They're saying it's 112.
No ways.
Yeah.
Peaches and cream. Ha ha. What? They should sing at your inauguration.
You know what's stuck in my head?
What?
Peaches and
Kanda. Kanda. Ay, Kanda. Ay,
I know you admit
Kanda.
it.
Kanda. Yes, Kanda. That was a vibe, man. That was me.
We made Sound City top 10.
That was me the
Songs
whole...
of the week.
You don't even understand the
Top
whole...
10. Who's that other guy?
Hab.
Hab, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's in Kampala.
Has he reached out to you?
Yeah, no, I'm in touch with him. He's a close friend.
When you won, did HUD say you did it?
We were like, is it HAB or is it Hub?
HAB.
It is HAB, right?
So it's HAB.
Hab. Sorry, I thought you were asking me to spell.
No, I didn't know if it's
Yeah,
if it's
Hub.
we were like, because it was all in caps. Then we were like, is it Hub or is it HAB?
Did Hab text you and go, how did you convince them? Because I'm sure Hab remembers rolling with you, trying to go to a radio station in Kampala, trying to get your song played. And then he was like, you couldn't convince one station manager in Kampala.
How did you do this?
The whole of New York. How?
You know the reason his name is Hab?
Tell me.
Is if we're off the record or off
Nothing
camera.
is off there.
Nothing's off the record.
like-
Okay.
Don't say anything.
When the red light is on, it looks like
Nothing is. Let me tell you the first thing. Can I tell you? I'll give you a tip
Give it to.
that I learned like very early on with the Daily Show and everything.
Yeah.
Nothing is off the
You're
record.
never gonna know.
No. When you walk out the room, let me explain. When you walk out, this has always fascinated me in
Yeah.
America, is when I'll see people, like some footage will come out from 20 years ago or something, and it'll be something that was sort of behind the scenes.
sorry.
No, not Kanda, man. Remember the ninjas who were dancing? That was the other video though.
What would I know?
Yes, that was that one.
You know, my regret is that my dad dressed up as a ninja
You're lying.
for that video.
Nah.
And the director of the video taped over that part.
No,
So
man.
it's gone.
That mill ninja stole the show, though.
Yeah, there was one ninja in one
Too
of the.
much swag for a ninja. I was like, this ninja's black. This is a black ninja.
Oh man.
Yeah, tell me about this thing about America, because I'm trying to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, so what I was saying is like, I was always intrigued by how people would trust just like a handshake agreement everywhere. People are like, oh, this is off the record, but there's a camera rolling and there's sound recording. And we're like, this is off the record. And then 10 years later or 5 years later, or even a day later, the clip comes out. And then people are like, but that was behind the scenes. You're like, yes, there's a camera. When you're wearing a microphone, when there's a microphone, when there's a camera, it's somewhere.
Because the editor was like, I'm not part of your agreement.
It's somewhere. Remember, grab them by the pussy.
I wasn't there, but... Why are you saying, do I remember?
I feel like I can't... I want to watch, like... By the way, chat, there was just a major study done of what the optimal fares of buses should be. And you know what the answer was that the economists developed? Negative. Meaning you should get on the bus and get paid. Because the benefits of people riding buses is so good, because the amount of money saved from the reduction of congestion, the amount of money saved from road like wear and tear, the amount of money saved from pollution reduction, and they should actually pay you to ride the bus. And if you drive a car, you should be paying an additional $15 a day. That is what internalizing all the externalities of driving is. Like every time you start your car, it should charge you $15. Let me see if I can find this study. Hold on. Can I find it? I had it. Oh fuck, I can't find it. It's called Optimal Urban Transport Policy. Oh, here we go. It just dropped. I found it. Holy fuck. Okay. Optimal Urban Transport Policy Evidence from Chicago. We characterize and qualify optimal urban transport policies in the presence of congestion and environmental externalities. A municipal government sets public transit policies, fares and frequencies, and road prices to maximize welfare. The government faces a budget constraint that introduces monopoly-like distortions and the potential need to cross-subsidize modes. We apply this framework to Chicago, for which we construct a new data set that comprehensively capture transportation choices. We find that road pricing alone leads to large welfare gains by reducing externalities, but at the expense of travelers, whose surplus falls even if the road pricing revenues are fully rebated. The optimal public transit price is near zero. With increased bus and train frequencies, combining transit policies with road pricing slackens the budget constraint, allowing for even higher transit frequencies and lower prices, thereby increasing consumer surplus after rebates. So what they're saying is that the optimal price for a bus fare is negative. Let me see if I can show you the charts. Okay, hold on. Okay. They've got some calculus happening. Hold on. Optimal policy design. In what follows, we explore counterfactual policy designs based on the optimality conditions we derive in Proposition 1. We start by analyzing course policies that change overall prices and frequencies for all markets. We first analyze the case of an unconstrained planner who only sets public transit prices and frequencies, which we call transit. To qualify the additional distortions that are caused by budget considerations, we also consider a budget-constrained planner that cannot exceed the current public transit deficit of Chicago. We then separately analyze the effect of road pricing. To explore these interactions of these policies, we then analyze the case where the planner can use them simultaneously. Transit plus road pricing. Okay, so let's get to the counterfactual where they could do everything. The overall welfare gains from road pricing, 3.8 million per week, are much larger than what budget-constrained transit policies alone can achieve. However, these gains predominantly result from a reduction in environmental externalities, while travelers are worse off. In the absence of rebates, consumer surpluses decreased by 3.32 million per week, or $12 per resident per week. Even if the government fully rebated the revenue it collected from road taxes, consumers would lose 0.39 million in weekly surplus. The number of public transit trips increases by 66 million per week, while car trips go down 3.45 million per week. So just doing congestion pricing basically is not good for the economy, because it makes poor people not travel, even in situations when it would be profitable for them to do so. So what happens is you really hurt poor people from making those marginal trips. So in effect, the result of just doing congestion pricing is that the economy is worse off. Even when you take in the considerations of gains of things like decreased congestion, the environment, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a problem here. Just charging people to drive on the roads is a bad policy. Finally, when transit policies are combined with road pricing, transit plus road pricing, the planner could achieve welfare gains of 6.97 million per week, almost twice the sum of its parts, columns 3 and 4. Transit policies and road pricing are complementary due to cross-subsidization. Setting road taxes at 34 cents per kilometer generates a government surplus, so the budget constraint no longer binds and the resulting budget distortions are no longer present. The government is then able to spend part of the extra revenue to set public transit prices and frequencies that closely resemble those under transit, in which the government faces no budget constraint. Specifically, the government offers virtually free public transit and it increases the frequencies of both buses and trains. After optimally setting public transit frequencies and prices, some tax surplus remains, which the government could either keep or rebate back to customers. In other words, when you set free public transit plus congestion pricing, it results in massive gains to the economy. Massive gains to the economy. So much so that the government profits. So not only is fast and free busing correct, not only is left-wing policy correct, if you do it, it'll grow the economy. Taxing traffic and subsidizing public transit so that it's really good actually grows the economy. Is anybody surprised by this? Anybody surprised by this? If the government rebates the surplus, consumer surplus could increase by 4.34 million per week. So by doing congestion pricing and free public transit, the economy will grow in the city of Chicago by 3.4 million per week. We measure the welfare effects of urban transportation policies and explore how budget-constrained planners should choose among a portfolio of policies. Based on a theoretical framework, we derive expressions for optimal policies that show budget considerations introduce inefficiencies. We then qualify empirically the welfare effects of such policies in Chicago by constructing a data set that captured granular mode choices across the city. Our results show that the government can undo the monopoly distortions that arise due to budget considerations by using road pricing revenues to cross-subsidize public transit. Indeed, recent transit policies in London and New York explicitly designate the revenues from road pricing to fund public transit. Our results highlight that such combined policy approach generates complementarities through cross-subsidization, yielding welfare gains larger than the sum of its parts. In other words, as usual, the evidence shows that left-wing policy not only works to make things fairer and juster, it actually makes the economy grow. So you'll have less traffic, less pollution, and a faster growing economy and a more fair transit system. There are no downsides. The only downside is rich people pay a little bit more to drive. That's the downside. And if you understand the marginal propensity to consume, if you understand the diminishing marginal utility of money, you're taking money from people that don't care or it will not affect their happiness or well-being in any way, and you're giving it to people in a society in such a way that it'll raise their standard of living. So all of us, including the rich people, will experience a better society because they're paying money to not have traffic. And then all of us get to experience not having traffic, and all of us get to experience using public transit to get where we need to go for basically no cost. In other words, Zohran Mamdani was right. And here's a link to the paper in case you want to check it out for yourself. It's called The Optimal Urban Transport Policy Evidence from Chicago. This is from the National Bureau of Economic Research. So not only is free buses like cool and nice, a nice thing to do for people, it is optimal. Zohran was right. And this is actually something that you find out a lot when you do research into public policy, is that left-wing policy not only works, it's good. And right-wing policy not only makes the world worse, it makes the economy grow slower. Police forces will make arrests over intifada chants. Oh man, chat, I can't wait for Asmongold to come out and say how he's a free speech absolutist and that people should be allowed to say whatever they want in the marketplace of ideas. I can't wait. The Metropolitan and Greater Manchester police forces have said that they will arrest people holding placards and chanting the phrase globalize the intifada, an Arabic word for uprising. All you have to say is globalize the uprising. Now what? Now what? You said scary Arabic word. Okay, globalize the uprising. Now what? In response to this will be, yeah, well, you mean words that one time about the one person with very little information, so you don't deserve to have rights. Yeah, exactly. Asmongold, pathetic worm. Oh, by the way, chat, Asmongold made a video about me. Oh, man, I'm getting so... Oh, man. I want to say this. I legitimately think Asmongold might not have any fans. I don't know if they're all bots or what's going on here, but he made a video calling me out, and we got like, what, 11 people came in? I got like 1 DM. When Asmongold would play WoW and go dress up contests, people watched. It was fun. Now I don't know any, like, honest to God. And even, by the way, so I got a DM today. I want to, oh God, chat. How do I wish I could just show you the DM because I don't want to bring this up. Oh, by the way, chat, that reminds me. It has been 1 week. It has been 1 week since I banned James Waite for being a dumb fuck. And this is what he says. Hold on. Let's see if I could get a... James Waite said, I'm sorry, and I understand what I said is not only completely wrong, but something that puts your entire channel at risk. I really fucked up. I hate Snoop Dogg because I think he's a shithead, but I should never have said what I said. To be clear, I didn't know that C word was considered a racial slur. I thought that was something you could say to refer to black people who betray the working class. As I typed this, I realized how stupid that understanding is, and I apologize. I can't access Discord because my VPN is being weird in China, but I accept my ban for as long as you feel is appropriate. I'm sorry for being a dumbass. Okay. I want to say something to be very clear to all white people. I want to make it very easy for you. If you're ever using a word that you think is for a subtype of black people, you should probably just not use that ever. Okay? Don't go like, oh, black people who do X, Y, and Z. Don't. You're doing a racism. Now, what black people say to other black people, you're not black. Okay? You do not experience being black. And I understand in American culture, AAVE and there's a lot of black culture is what drives American culture. And I feel like a lot of white people have this anxiety or anxiousness about, oh, I'm not allowed to participate. I'm being excluded because of my race or X, Y, and Z. No, you're not being excluded because of your race. You're being excluded because of your experiences. You don't know what it's like to be a black person in America, and you never will. So there are certain things about the black experience that you don't have the context to understand, and you never will. And if you're like, well, that's not fair, I'll give you an analogy that will make it clear. If you are a person that lacks a uterus and lacks a reproductive system that generates menses, you will not understand what it's like to have a period. That doesn't mean that you're being excluded from the menstruation experience or whatever. You don't have the ability to menstruate. You don't know what it's like to have a period. You don't know what it's like to be a black person. Shut the fuck up. That means you don't get to use slurs. And the reason why this needs to be said is because in America, we made black skin the stigma. That's why the concept of white even means anything. The concept of white means something because it was used to exclude black people. And so because of that history, because of what these slurs were used to do, which were to literally threaten and kill black people and render them into slavery or debt peonage, you don't get to say the N-word. You don't get to say the C word. You don't get to say Uncle T. None of that shit is for you. Not that complicated. And you're not giving up anything. If anything, you're giving up your ability to trade on racial superiority. Because when a white person says that shit, they know what it means when a white person says that shit. So get your shit together. Grow the fuck up. You're not being excluded. It's not fair. I don't know what it's like to experience racial discrimination. Shut the fuck up, white person. I don't know what it's like to be considered a criminal because of my skin color. I don't know what it's like to be excluded from opportunities because of my name. Shut the fuck up. I don't know what it's like to be stopped by the cops because my car was too nice. Shut the fuck up. And so I appreciate that James Waite said that. I appreciate the apology. I understand that he's not racist. He's just a typical white, ignorant moron, which we all are. And because of that, I'm going to not unban you right now because your apology kind of sucked. It was decent, but not quite good enough. So you're going to get an additional day or two for being a dumb fuck. But I understand that you don't harbor racial animus. Just don't do that again. Don't be a dumb idiot. And this is important that you learn this. And if you're embarrassed, I'm sorry. But thank you for embarrassing yourself in front of everybody so we could all understand. I've done shit like this. I said bee breaking like, you know, a few months ago, and that was racially insensitive. We say this dumb shit. Where did I get that from? Fucking Stavros, who's another dumb white guy. So it is what it is. We make mistakes. It doesn't mean you're a horrible person forever. It just means understand it's not okay. Take your punishment, apologize, and then you can come back. And I know that James is a good guy, and it's just let it sink in for a day or two more. Okay. The slur for Romani people is commonly used. The issue with that, Meyerler King, is that it's like there is a dispute among Romani people about whether or not that is a slur. Some of them consider it a slur, some of them don't. And that dispute, outsiders get caught up in that dispute. And I'm not here to. It's like saying Native American or indigenous versus Indian. Some Native Americans, some indigenous Americans say call me an Indian, and some say don't call me an Indian. And so it's not my job to jump in there and kind of like clear that dispute up. That being said, for me personally, because I've heard that many Romani people do not consider the G word to be a slur, I've decided to stop using it. I'm not going to run around pointing at everybody who ever used it and calling them a fucking racist, because I'm not of that culture. And that is a conversation that's happening in that culture. And I do think we need less white people trying to crusade around as the, like, I'm going to be the one who tries to, you know, settle all these intra-community disputes as an outsider. Stop being a chauvinist. Stop being so full of yourself. Talk to other white people, okay? Stop trying to intervene in everything. It's a very white tendency. You're not the white savior. It's good for people to understand the word is problematic. Yeah, that's what I've done. That's what I just did. But I'm introducing, I hate the word, it's been spoiled, but the nuance of it, right? You know what I mean? Like we're introducing the nuance of different things. I use traveler as a label. I mean, travelers are a type of this kind of culture. It's just very weird when white people crusade as offended on other people's behalf. It's very weird. I'm not saying let people get away with doing racist shit. I'm just saying, like, stop trying to make everything about posturing about how you're the one good white. Like, just can you stop? None of us are the one good white. All of us are part of a greater whole. And trying to posture, you're like being so focused on how you're morally perceived is very narcissistic and quite frankly liberal. All right, we're not watching that. This is a story that Hassan covered. I guess the turtle, what is it? The Turtle Island co-op thing. So I wanted to watch his coverage because it was all emerging yesterday, and it all looked like, it honestly looked like a meme to me. I couldn't believe it was real.
One of the leaders of the organization, defendant Audrey Carroll, helped organize an even more radical faction of the group called the Order of the Black Lotus. Each of the defendants charged today was also
okay, dude. Yeah, no. Here's another FBI moment. Apparently they thwarted.
That sounds like somebody going like, that's the ultimate white Chinese revolutionaries. Like, I am white Chinese and I am organizing the Order of the Black Lotus. It was in a card shop chat, and the card shop had one Black Lotus heavily played as its like signature single. Oh, is it an Avatar the Airbender reference? Okay, I haven't watched Avatar the Airbender, chat. I've watched, like, I want to say most of season 1.
A terrorist attack in Los Angeles, in my own backyard.
Office for the Central District of California. Over the weekend, my office.
I will say this. I don't know the exact details of what they actually investigated and uncovered, but I will say this. Given the way that they approached this in Portland, Oregon, I don't believe anything that they're saying. Okay, it's very difficult for me to believe that these guys are being sincere. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you recall, in Portland, Oregon, the Department of Homeland Security said that they had uncovered a secret Antifa terror cell. They were claiming that there was a secret Antifa terror cell only blocks away from the ICE facility in Portland, Oregon. And then the media actually investigated it. And they found out that it was one guy who was letting people piss in his bathroom. That is what the Department of Homeland Security acted like was a terror cell deeply embedded in the community next to an ICE facility. So like when these guys are talking about how they're uncovering left-wing terrorism, you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Along with the FBI, arrested members of a far-left, anti-government domestic terror cell who self-identify as the Turtle Island Liberation Front. The individuals were arrested on Friday, December 12th, when the group attempted to construct and detonate IEDs out in the desert. In addition to the arrests,
out in the desert? I'm sorry. Where out in the desert? Like 29 Palms? Or are they just talking about like a group of like a bunch of poly people were caught talking about how they're going to go out in the desert and light fireworks for New Year's Eve celebrations?
The charges we are announcing today stem from the defendants and their co-conspirators' detailed coordinated plot to bomb multiple.
Honestly, this just sounds like a particularly spicy polycule chat, like group chat. That's all this sounds like. This just sounds like a spicy polycule chat to me. When the FBI agent who listened to Metallica the one time tries to make a punk benefit show flyer, the Turtle Island Liberation Front punk show fundraiser. Sponsors needed. Check below for sponsorship packages. This is the most Republican ass shit I've ever seen in my life. This is like something a Mormon would make. You get your business logo on our flyers for the Liberation Front. Come on! It's like, well, we did a rock until you drop poodle skirt fundraiser at the temple. So maybe as an FBI agent, I could do the same for the Turtle Island Liberation Front.
U.S. companies on New Year's Eve. Thankfully, that plot has now been foiled thanks to the hard work of the FBI and the Department of Justice. As the president made clear, recent attacks across the country have highlighted the grave threats posed by these far-left domestic terror groups. These threats are sophisticated, organized campaigns of targeted intimidation, radicalization, threats, and violence designed to silence opposing speech, limit political activity, and direct policy outcomes and prevent the proper functioning of a democratic society. In direct response to the president's order, the Attorney General issued a memo to our offices implementing and mobilizing federal law enforcement to prioritize.
Hassan Abi is about to defend the terrorists, not terrorists, just fireworks. Excellent script. Here comes the bully. Hassan Abi is about to defend the terrorists. Chatter, I'm going to ask you sincerely, do you currently trust this administration's FBI? Like, even if you trusted the FBI in the past, like, I'm going to need to see some very significant proof before I go along with whatever the fuck they're saying. More than I trust you, well...
It's so funny because after 7 fucking years, you think you'd have some examples of us lying. I mean, if we're so untrustworthy, you'd think you'd have some examples of me lying about things. Or times where I was given corrective information and I doubled down or ignored it. Please. It's like, you'd think after all these years of political streaming, they'd have some examples of us.
I think this is an increasingly smaller number of people because most right-wingers don't even like their own FBI. Especially after the Charlie Kirk assassination and the way that Kash Patel has handled himself throughout this process. Are you Kash Patel's girlfriend? Is that you in the chat? The DOJ criminal complaint cites a meeting of 5 co-conspirators of the bombing plot. At least 2 of the 5 were FBI. One was a paid informant and the other one was an undercover FBI employee.
Basically, the FBI is just going around and trying to arrest random leftists because they said something edgy. This is exactly what they did after 9/11. They just went around and found poor Muslim men, many with mental disabilities, to entrap them. This is what Robert Mueller got his whole career doing.
Oh, here we go. They already called out their shot from afar, where they said that they were going to start uncovering and targeting left-wing radicalism, left-wing violence, left-wing terror cells in the country. At a time when, even if you were to look at political violence, historically, in the last like 30, 40 years or so, the overwhelming majority of political violence has come from the right. So of course, in the interest of justifying this extra scrutiny, in the interest of trying to find left-wing political terrorism or whatever, and act as though they have thwarted successfully instances of leftist violence before they started, they're going to do the same shit that they did to Muslims in general in the post 9/11 universe. I mean, there is plenty of evidence and plenty of failed, botched investigations in general where the FBI would go up and find autistic Muslim teenagers on the internet and be like, hey, comrade, do you want to go really stick it to the man? Here's some Tenorite at this location, engaging in the act of entrapment, greatly pushing people and trying to persuade people to entrap them ultimately to get a pat on the back. Now they're trying to do it to, I guess, leftists.
And counter domestic terrorism and political violence investigations. As a result of those directives, we built this case. Both my office and the FBI have invested substantial resources into investigating and charging these organizations. And if anyone does not believe that members of these groups organized, sophisticated, and extremely violent, let me tell you about the plot in this case. The four defendants are Audrey Carroll, 30 years old. The pictures, I think we have them somewhere. We'll put them up here. Audrey Carroll, 30 years old. Zachary Aaron Page, 32. Dante Gaffield, 24. And Tina Lay, 41.
Did the DOJ/FBI just make up a fake group, or are they embellishing this to the extreme? Right after they messed up yet another public investigation Brown shooting, they claim to have unfolded a massive plot of leftist group in California, but there's a problem. Either this group doesn't exist or is literally just 4 people the FBI arrested and are massively overstating it. The official complaint said that the group is an offshoot of the pro-Palestinian group Turtle Island Liberation Front. But the Instagram account that the FBI noted in connection to the group says that this group's Los Angeles chapter is its founding chapter. A TILF, Turtle Island Liberation Front Instagram account said its founding chapter is in Los Angeles and its goal is to free Turtle Island, an indigenous name used to refer to North America, from the illegal American empire. The FBI said Monday that a 5th individual believed to be connected to the name TILF, Turk I'd Like to Fuck, extremist group was arrested in New Orleans for allegedly planning a separate attack. Anyway, but the FBI also claims another individual was apprehended and thwarted in New Orleans as well as part of the same group. The Instagram account for Turtle Island Liberation Front is an empty account made in October that only shows a repost of their founding LA chapter. The LA account only goes back to the July of this year. And when you look at its following, you'll note that there are no other chapters, just the LA account following its other account. Outside of that, there aren't any serious mentions or presence of this group. There's an unrelated Twitter account by the same handle that seems to be run by a Canadian who isn't affiliated. Turtle Island is the name used by some Aboriginal groups to refer to North America, but other than the FBI/DOJ mentioning Turtle Island Liberation Front and that Instagram account, the only other time the name pops up is in a fictional Reddit vexillology meme from 2021. Do you believe it's fake? Be real? Oh, dude, there's only 2 alternatives here. There's only 2 options. Either they tapped into a group of LARPers, the silliest of the sort, or it's just completely made up. It then doesn't appear mentioned online again until 2023 in a mod for a video game called Hearts of Iron, a political military sim, where an alternative history mod called Twilight of the Anthropocene has on a tiny background group the same name. The mod is a satire. To put that game mod into perspective, it also lists Kim Jong-un and Richard Nixon as a part of the Californian corporatocracy under Curtis Yarvin, and lists Boris Johnson rising to be president of the United States. Oh my God, Omega autism, Omega political autism. After this, there seems to be no online references to any Turtle Island Liberation Front that aren't referencing the game meme until this year in July, when the group suddenly creates an Instagram account.
So they got Paradox game players to say something edgy as a joke? That's it? You got wait. Did a real Asmongold fan that's not a bot show up? Oh God, I've been waiting. I've been fucking waiting. No, they supplied them with explosives too. So in other words, they were just edgy idiots, and then someone showed up with bombs, and they were like, what the fuck, man? You have a bomb? You guys are losing credibility. Guys, okay, finally. Mike, stupid question. Why should we expect New York City to be affordable? It's New York City. Wait, are you a Destiny fan? I thought you were an Asmongold fan, but are you a Destiny fan? You can be honest. The fact that you guys are so desperate to carry water for these guys is revealing. I'm carrying water for a bunch of dopey idiots who the FBI entrapped with a bogus fucking scheme that they've done this for decades at this point. I'm sorry you don't know about that because you bought propaganda, but these are not legitimate terrorist attacks being foiled. Check this guy's hard drive. Listen, I don't have a problem if you like VTubers, but if every one of you VTubers you like is a lolly, that's crazy. You don't have any like adult VTubes you like? Everyone is lolly? I joined Twitch and I follow nothing but lolly. Wait, we got one real person. They're a very nice content creator. Mizkif. You're like, you know, I need to follow a man. I know who I want to follow. Mizkif. Oh, wait. He was almost saved. He was almost saved. Will and Seer could not pull you to the light. I mean, if Will and Seer can't pull you to the light, there's no hope for you. There's no hope for you. Hey Money Wubby, Carter, myself, Majority Report. This man, I feel like there's a darkness within your soul. Extra Emily. Ray, he's a nice guy. I think he's a nice guy. I don't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, but I think he's a nice guy, right? Wubby seems chill. I don't have a problem with Wubby unless I don't know shit. There's always a possibility, but Wubby seems like a cool guy. Ham and Cheddar, he's a good guy. As far as I know, I like him. He's a bro. God, the Gooder powers are incredible, man. I missed Austin. Oh, okay, chat. That chatter has perplexed me. That chatter has perplexed me. I'm kind of in shock, and I don't know how to react. I feel like it's like if you were visiting like your uncle, and then you walked into your cousin's bedroom, and it's just nonstop anime figurines from like every wall, and you're just uncomfortable. You're just like, it's gone beyond like where it's like, okay, that's a little bit weird, to like you get sick to your stomach, and you're just like, okay, it's no longer fun.
In October, they create a matching Facebook. Their posts are things like resistance is glorious and peaceful protest will never be enough.
I think VTubers are generally pretty chill.
And long rants that sound like a caricature of what MAGA thinks left-wing values.
Mike, react harder. I want to, but I honest to God don't want to. You know when you get a sense that somebody is really down and out, and if you make fun of them, it may actually be the 13th reason why. Like, I don't want to be the 13th reason why. So I'm standing down. I'm standing down. Like I can't keep punching. It's like you're in a boxing match and you see the guy go into fencing response, and you have him lined up for an absolute brutal uppercut, but he's already out and he's starting to fall. But you have him, you have him dead to rights, and you're fucking coiled, and you're coming up through, and you could see the light leave his eyes. You gotta pull it back. You'll kill the guy. You shock my dog husbando. Now we can't have socialism. Oh man. Wait, we got two at once. Oh, brand new account. You can't post here the brand new account. You have to show me your real account. Oh, we've got the ultimate. Mike from Pedophile Association. Bro, you're a fan of Asmongold and Tectone. Come on. You are a 40-year-old man who watches Asmongold. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, wait. Aww. You used to play Destiny, the game. Man, come on. All right, come on. We have to get distracted. I'm sorry, I cannot resist a 2011 account. You unfollowed everybody you used to follow? Your most recent follow is 2019? So this is like an alt you've had since 2011? Wings of Redemption? You legitimately... You know how, chat, on the previous person, I was like, I don't want to be the 13th reason why, but in this case, I think I'd be okay with it. it's never getting better for you, my dude. It's never getting better for you, my dude. Like, there are some people that you can look at them and you know their fucking life is just hopeless, and Raz Killer is it. Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck. It is not getting better for you. It's over for you. Your life, wherever your life is now, as shitty as it is, whatever the optimistic projection you have going forward, it will not occur. And I think you kind of know that. I think you know, too bad nothing there. I think there's something there. I think being a Wings of Redemption lolcow guy and 2025 and a Zachrar Asmongold enjoyer at 40 years old, you're fucking toast. You're never gonna get laid. You're never gonna have a real job. You're never gonna find any sort of meaning in life. Yo, it's fucking over. You are fucking, it is over for you. If you consume lolcow content, please stop. First of all, no one needs to be told to stop consuming lolcow content if they're not a sociopath. Like, nobody needs to be told. Don't watch disconcerting content where people harass somebody who has some sort of mental illness or neurodivergence. Stop doing that. Like, no one needs to tell you to stop doing that. If you enjoy that, you're already like, it's already cooked for you. You don't see a bunch of like well-adjusted adults watching that shit. It's people that should be on that side of the camera seeing someone exactly like themselves, but engaged in some sort of like mental distancing and ego protection by finding a target. You don't need to be told to stop watching that. If you're watching that shit, you're already, it's not going to be good for you. You're not going to make it. He's really not going to make it. I'm just thinking, guys, everybody together, picture Raz Killer's life. There's like a pile of trash right here. The DoorDash. He's covered in dust. The keyboard is like crusted. I'm imagining that he's got a popcorn ceiling, but he might be in a basement. I used to deliver food to these shut-ins and it was wild. Quitter Maker. If you ever see these guys, ask them who their favorite streamer is. Like, yo, man, hey, here's your tendies. Hey, by the way, dude, I've been trying to find some like good content. Do you know any good streamers to watch? I'm just curious.
It's gross calls to violence that have no place in legitimate political discourse.
Chatter, Mike is wrong. You can make it. No. I mean, listen. If you're here and you're trying, you're gonna make it. Like, if you're here and you're like, yes, I believe in a better world, and I'm gonna fight for somebody that I do not know, and yes, I want to see our planet solve its greatest problems, and no, I want to avoid war, and no, I want to end the genocide in Gaza, and yes, I want to have a union, and yeah, you're gonna make it because you have empathy and a human brain. But if you're an Asmongold guy who has a 14-year-old Twitch account and you're going around trying to troll on behalf of Asmongold, you're not gonna fucking make it. You're not making it. And I'm not gonna lie and pretend that you are. If you're an Asmongold fan as an adult in your 40s, you're not going to make it. In fact, your life is probably close to over statistically anyway. And I don't say that, I say that because I am honest. If you are a socially isolated 40-year-old nihilist with absolutely no positive paths you can take in life to advance, statistically, your life is probably over within the next decade. It's already fucking over. If you're a 40-year-old who has a reason to live, who is fighting shoulder to shoulder with me to turn this world around, you've got 40 more years of happiness in front of you. You're an Asmongold fan at 40, you're fucking cooked. Let's just be honest. In fact, if I was going to do a PhD in sociology, I would want to increase the studies on suicidality of conservative men. And there is a positive correlation between being a conservative man and suicidality. Conservative men are more likely to kill themselves. It's just a fact. Like, it's pretty well established already. Suicide risk is linked to political conservatism. Like, this is a pretty old study. Residents of states with the highest rates of gun ownership and political conservatism are at a greater risk of suicide than those in states with less gun ownership and less politically conservative leanings. The Association of Suicide Rates, Gun Ownership, Conservatism, and Individual Suicide Risk was published online in the journal Social Psychiatry and Psychiatric epidemiology in February. Non-Hispanic whites were nearly 4 times as likely to kill themselves as non-Hispanic African Americans. So a divorced white conservative man in his 40s is like the most likely person to kill themselves, if you were talking about statistics. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up these statistics is because you'll see a lot of conservative people like Asmongold try to claim like, oh, you know, black people are they're committing so many crimes and things like that. They will abuse and fabricate statistics. But when you study the real numbers, single, white, conservative, man, 40s, gun owner, bro, statistically, woo, that's not good. Oh wait, why didn't this join? Oh, it's because I'm full screened. Oh God, I was reading a study. Fuck, I thought it was on the screen, but it didn't nest. Sorry about that, chat. So here you go. Suicide risk linked to rates of gun ownership, political conservatism. And if you throw in veteran in there, whoo, the numbers are insane. And so this is what I mean why, like, Asmongoldian thought, like, if you are a person who is falling into the Asmongold pipeline, that is a pipeline to suicidality, according to the statistics. And that scares me. I don't want all these Asmongold guys to do this. I want them to see that the world could be better and that we're all connected. And I want them to touch grass. And I want them to fight for a better world. It's sad to think about all the Asmongold fans that he's probably already lost. Really sad if you think about it.
So glad I stamp out this kind of LARPy bullshit with regular frequency. This is also part of the reason why I do this, because some of you dumb, I think, if I didn't do this, would probably...
For his viewers, it's a sense of authenticity. Asmongold is authentic because he's rich and lives in squalor, where the truth is he has brain damage. Yeah, and mental illness. Yeah, he has senile squalor syndrome. It's not like he's living authentically. He doesn't want to live in filth. He's just so mentally incapable of showering and cleaning his room. That's why when he got banned for 2 weeks, what did he do? He cleaned his room. Because he had the dopamine and the adrenaline to finally do what he knows he needed to get done. But what he has streaming to get sucked into, he hyperfixates on it. And at the end of the day, you know, he doesn't live the way that way. He doesn't live that way because it's authentic. He lives that way because he's got mental illness called senile squalor syndrome. And the thing about him is nobody loves him enough to set up a cleaning service for him. Like, think about that, chat. Nobody loves Asmongold enough that even as a multimillionaire, he can't get someone to take 10 minutes to schedule a cleaning service to show up. That's crazy. He wouldn't let them in the house. Oh, exactly, because that's a symptom of senile squalor syndrome. Senile squalor syndrome, one of the key symptoms is refusing help that's needed. And people are saying it's a choice. He's got mental illness. He's mentally ill. He needs to be 5150'd. He needs to be put in those institutions that he keeps saying that other people need to be put into. If we're being legitimate, if we're legitimately being honest about Asmongold, he needs to be institutionalized. And the thing is, I'm not an anarchist, so I think that people like Asmongold should probably be in some sort of institution to get well. There are mentally ill people who take care of themselves. Asmon is a moral failure. That sounds like liberalism to me. That sounds like liberalism to me. I don't think Asmongold has the ability to do what he wants to do. I think that he has frontal lobe damage, and he can't clean his room if he tried. Nice quarter shelf, thank you.
Get duped by a federal law enforcement officer. I apologize to some of you dumb, but some of you dumb are unironically so easy to manipulate.
He needs to be put into a home.
A federal law enforcement
literally.
agent could straight up come to you and be like, "Come on, comrade, look alive. Let's engage in some direct action. We must change our methods before it's too late. True resistance means seizing the means of production. It means disruption." Peaceful protest relies upon the idea that we can appeal to the morals and benevolence of those in power. We are not dealing with benevolent good faith actors. We are dealing with fascist colonizers.
True.
Fascism does not care about the morality or justice. There's nothing for us to appeal to. They do not have the interests of the working class, of minorities, of the LGBTQ community, or of women in mind. When we take to the streets and march with no destination in mind, no government or corporate building, we mean to occupy and disrupt.
Okay, chat. Writing tip. Don't say something and then repeat it again. So, like, they do not have the interests of the working class, of minorities, of the LGBT community, or of women at heart. You know, that's what you say. And then we're on the mind, okay? They're at the heart, we're at the mind, right? You do so. You don't say in mind and then in mind. That's just bad writing right there. This is 6th grade level mistakes. If you're gonna write yourself a fucking political manifesto, put a little bit more effort into it.
We aren't doing.
As someone who used to work in a mental hospital, you're absolutely correct. There is so many of my patients that were exactly like Asmongold, and they rarely ever wanted our help, and they were usually the most problematic. I honestly think a strong pharmaceutical, pharmacological regime would really help Asmongold. You know what I mean? Like, I would put him on some heavy pharmacological therapies. He's probably depressed. What the fuck? Asmongold is the most depressed human being on the planet. For a lot of depressed people, if they had more money, they wouldn't be so depressed because they'd have the resources to like solve some of the problems that are and struggles, and they could get help. I want you to imagine having all the resources in the world and living like Asmongold. How many of you would do that? I honestly think that there's probably not one person in here who, with the resources and social, resources of Asmongold, who would live like that. Not one. So, and anybody say like, oh no, he's choosing to live like that. He likes to live like that. You're coping. It's not voluntary. He just doesn't have the frontal lobe in order to exercise his will. That's crazy. And I would say that if people like me get into power, one of the first things that we would do is we would go and help Asmongold. We would condemn his house for being full of pests. So we would come in with a massive, honestly, we'd probably demolish his house. Like if people like me won, we'd probably demolish Asmongold's house. We condemn it as a public safety hazard. And we would probably bulldoze it. And then in the place, because we now had the land, we would probably build a homeless shelter or a halfway house or some sort of safe injection site right on wherever Asmongold's house used to be. That's kind of what I think we should do. And I don't say this because like, I don't think the land should be used, right? Like there's a lot of people that need help. So we should just have empty land just sitting there, not being used. Like, and it would be an upgrade for the neighbors because there would be, homeless drug addicts would probably be an upgrade over somebody spewing out nonstop cockroach colonizing, and rats. They have a lot less rats and cockroaches and bed bugs. What is this insane fantasy? What do you mean? What do you mean fantasy? I just want to enforce the law on the books. Can a house be condemned for hoarding? Hoarding can be a deeply personal and challenging condition, but its consequences often extend beyond the individual into the realm of public safety and property management. If you've ever wondered whether a house could be condemned for hoarding, the short answer is yes. Local authorities have the power to condemn homes when hoarding causes severe health, safety, and structural hazards. Hoarding often creates unsanitary conditions. Rotting food, mold growth, and pest infestations can spread diseases and compromise the health of occupants and the surrounding community. And there's a process in Texas, Oh, sorry. This is for eminent domain. That's not what I wanted. Hold on. Dealing with a condemned house, what homeowners need to know. Can I report condemned properties? You have the right to report a potentially condemned house if you notice that a property appears to be visibly unsafe or unlivable. This process helps owners maintain positive property values in their area, as the presence of condemned houses can quickly diminish the fair market value of the whole neighborhood. You will need to contract to your local authorities to learn about the process for reporting a condemned building. Grounds for condemnation of a house. Condemned buildings are deemed unfit for human habitation or a danger to the surrounding community for various reasons. 1. Extreme damage. Authorities can condemn houses because of extreme structural problems, for example, houses that have been severely impacted by natural disasters or are simply dilapidated. Construction problems. This refers to building code violations, including using unsafe building materials, for example, those containing asbestos, and plumbing or electrical system issues that are considered safety hazards. Lack of utilities. A property without utilities like water, electricity, and sewer may also qualify for condemnation. Unsanitary living conditions. Severe hygiene issues are another reason the government may condemn a home. This includes chemical pollution, homes of people with hoarding disorders, or homes used for drug production. Pest infestations. Houses with severe untreated pest issues such as termite damage or black mold infestation are also considered threats to community health and safety. Now, I don't know about you, chat. That sounds like Asmongold's house to me. Okay, bro, you can't post addresses in chats. What are you doing? Are you insane? The Asmongold house tour.
That's the circle of life.
Damn.
It's cool because like the more I breathe air in here, it makes me feel like slightly sicker.
I love that Tectone is Asmongold's friend because he doesn't give a shit about him at all. I fucking love that. He got exactly the friend he deserves. It's like Tectone just sees him as a fucking lol cow to make money off of. He just laughs at his misery. Like if I went into a friend's home and it looked like this, I would be fucking black. Like my face would be gray. I would be like, can I get your mom's phone number? You know what I mean? I would be like, this is not acceptable. I'd be like, I need to help you. I wouldn't be able to be inside laughing it up. You trying to dox Asmon, huh? This is me showing that Asmongold should be put in a home and his house should be condemned.
A big ass cricket. Wait, is that real?
No, it's
not. I thought that was real.
It's not.
Wait, you have stone. Dude, your sink is crazy. No, this is fine.
Yeah, I usually don't use that one.
Wait. Oh, no, this has been used.
Yeah, I use it pretty regularly. Yeah.
Oh, you letting that pan soak?
Yeah.
How long that been soaking for?
Like a day.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad.
There's dust in the pan, you're lying.
Is this the same kitchen you cook in? Why is it? Am I crazy? Or everything feel way smaller than you thought it was gonna be?
Rooms look bigger on camera.
Like, I mean, like, this is nuts. Because, like, just me and you in this whole kit, it fills the whole thing up. Holy fuck, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. How long those been soaking for?
They're not soaking.
Oh, okay.
There's no water.
Okay, so if you wanted the fork and knife right now, where would you get it from?
Right here.
Sick.
I have these. Yeah, I have these right here.
That's crazy. Ooh.
Oh, you've got cream soda, bunch of condiments.
Those have been there
This
for like a long
fridge
time.
actually
I
is
wouldn't
pretty
recommend eating those.
Okay. Oh, dude, what about your spicy ketchup? That's clutch. Oh, the Trix yogurt, too.
How old are these?
That's got to be at least like 15, 20 years. Oh, you got your dried blood on top of the ceiling, too. Look at all that. See that?
No, that's not it. That could be some wasp poison, because there used to be wasps that would get up there and I'd spray them down. Oh, this is a TV. My ex-girlfriend left here. It works totally fine. I just don't know what to do with it. These are pillows that had mold on them, so I threw them out of my room. And that's my bathroom. It was actually so bad that I did clean it up. That was the only thing I actually cleaned up before you guys came over here. It was actually that bad, so that is cleaned up.
There was one woman who tried to date Asmongold. You know, he was very, very popular on Twitch, and she couldn't do it. It wasn't worth it. Doesn't matter if he's like one of the top 10 streamers. She couldn't do it. She tried her best, but it was just she couldn't do it. Like, you know how people say there are gold diggers out there? There is nobody with the mining equipment strong enough to burrow into that shit heap to find the gold. Okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd need a fucking hazmat equipment to dig for this gold. Not worth.
My other room is like my room as a kid. And this is my bedroom. This is generally where I sleep.
Yo, the nest! It's real!
Well, I actually had to get rid of most things out of the nest.
That's
because they were moldy. They were moldy.
Do you actually sleep down here, or you just sleep upstairs in your room?
I go like this. Just like this. Oh, shit. I got my pillow.
Look at all the snot and boogers and blood and shit on the wall. If CPS went to this house, they would take the child. And if we're being honest with ourselves, Asmongold is a child. Mentally, physically, emotionally, intellectually, socio-politically. Like, have you talked about the Asmongold, Frogan, Caleb Hammer bullshit? No, I haven't. I might talk about it tomorrow, but I just wanted to point out, like, yo, this dude should have his house taken away from him because he's spreading fucking pests everywhere into his neighborhood. I mean, if I were his neighbor, I'd be suing him right now to get him condemned. All right, where were we? Oh, yeah, left-wing radicals.
Anything more than holding a parade to make ourselves feel good.
Skis and jeans. Skis and jeans. I am symbolically bending my knee for my knighting. I'm honored to be in the Order of Romeo. Chat, we have a new inductee to the Order of Romeo. If you don't know what the Order of Romeo is, it's everybody who has been here for 60 months. They get the most coveted chat badge. The coveted chat badge. The Golden Order of Romeo. Bend the knee.
Even occupying a building is not
Nice.
enough. Marching without purpose and without disruption does nothing to prevent fascism from advancing on us all. True resistance means seizing the means of production. I need to stop telling people like, oh, you're going to build the revolutionary vanguard in your backyard. Because maybe some people are like, no, I will actually. And then this is the result. No, revolution now. Revolution now, comrade. It's happening. Don't wait for someone else to do something. Join in the fight now. We need all of us to make change actually happen. All across Turtle Island, tribal nations have been occupied for the last several countries, and our occupiers, the colonizer state known as America, is to this day enacting mass violence on the world. It is our job to stop them. We're in the belly of the beast, and we absolutely must destroy it from within for a better world, not only for ourselves, but for everyone affected by the brutal colonization project that is okay, and then the rest of it, I don't know. So there are two options. This group is a fictional patsy created to give a win to the DOJ, FBI in a news cycle and fodder for anti-left messaging, or 4 people in October started a group based on a meme name and are dumb extremists who plotted something and the FBI caught them and rightfully arrested them, but is overstating the size of the group. The problem I have with number 2 is simple. The FBI is incompetent. We've seen how they handle public investigations. Yeah, it's true. Even with hundreds of campus cameras at Brown, FBI couldn't develop a subject. I mean, yes, the FBI is not exactly a trustworthy trustworthy actor here. Okay, this was their Instagram, Turtle Island Liberation Front LA, and from what I understand, this was some of the stuff. Liberator, an American catastrophe, fascism, death to ICE, Turtle Island Liberation Front, death to America, long live Turtle Island and Palestine. Check their shoes. We can't see what their shoes look like. FBI arrests 4 alleged members of radical pro-Palestinian group accused of plotting New Year's Eve bombings. Antifa rules. 2 FBI, 2 CIA, 1 ATF. God damn. The co-conspirators meet on December 7th to further discuss the bombing plot and their intent to conduct future attacks on federal officials. Based on information from the CHS and FBI personnel, including an undercover FBI employee, UCE, who was present during the meeting, I know the following. On or about the early morning of December 7, 2025, the CHS and the UCE met with Carol Page and a male known to the group as Nomad, later identified as Dante Gaffield. Carol stated she had the plan and handed Gaffield 4 sheets of paper with writing on the front and back of each page, which Gaffield and the UCE read. The handwritten plan given to the FBI plant states that IEDs would be complex pipe bomb. They put it in writing and then handed the writing of the complex IEDs that they were going to build and use to liberate Turtle Island, comrade. And they handed it directly to the FBI informant. Yes, very considerate of them to do such a thing.
Each from the Los Angeles area. Each is charged with conspiracy and possession of an unregistered destructive device in violation of Title 26.
Point of order and shit.
Chair, recognize the esteemed rep to Veronica Avenue, boys.
All right, look. We done talked this shit to death, all right? When we gonna vote?
Rick do have a point. All right, then. All those in favor of going together so we can get the best discount on New York package. Raise up. All right, then.
There it is.
Look like we're gonna make more money together.
Gotta say I'm proud of y'all for putting aside petty grievances and putting this thing together. For a cold-ass crew of gangsters, y'all carried it like Republicans and shit.
And yo, remember, man, talk this shit up when you hit them bricks. Best way to get more involved is to tell people about the benefits of this here thing. No beefing, no drama, just business. Anybody got problems with anybody else here, we bring it to the group. We ain't got to take it to the streets. All right. Let's do it.
All right.
Yo. Motherfucker, what is that?
The Robert rules say we got to have minutes for a meeting, right? These the minutes.
Nigga, is you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? What the fuck is you thinking, man?
United States Code Section 5861D. We intend to file additional charges in the coming weeks as we finish reviewing the evidence. The defendants are all radical anti-government members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which according to their own social media is an anti-capitalist, anti-government movement.
Okay, so basically in order to justify suppressing the government, suppressing left-wing political speech. They found a group of like 4 morons, and they got them to hand a piece of paper that said pipe bombs, the plan. A lot of what, like, sometimes I talk about, you know, revolution or war on this channel because a lot of the people that are like, full of vim and vigor, and they want to distance themselves from electoral politics because it's cringe, right? And they want to be like, no, we need to be out on the streets and we need to be fighting the man. Like, again, I'm in favor of that. I'm supporting, hey, Open Press, thanks for the 25 gifted subs. I get it. But I've actually studied what wars and revolutions look like. And I can tell you right now that an individual anarchist making a shitty pipe bomb is not what a revolution is. And if you think an anarchist making a shitty pipe bomb is going to catalyze a revolution, you're fucking insane. It's not real. And I tell you that because our arguments, our analysis is objectively the most useful and accurate for understanding the world around us. However, you need to take that analysis and that understanding and use it in a way that could actually effectuate some sort of outcome, not just become spinning in a circle, fantasizing that you are the hero of a movie. And the first thing about any kind of revolutionary activity is when you have 4 people, you aren't doing anything.
That calls for their associates to rise up and fight back against capitalism. One of the leaders of the organization, Defendant Audrey Carroll, helped organize an even more radical faction of the group called the Order of the Black Lotus. Each of the defendants charged today was also a...
Oh, come on. Okay, dude. Yeah, no. This seems real to me. I shouldn't be making light of such a dangerous terrorist organization that a bunch of super terrorists that they uncovered the plot of. This is not just your average homegrown terrorist. This is a dangerous super terrorist.
Member of the Order of the Black Lotus. Carroll described this group to her co-conspirators as everything radical. As detailed in the federal complaint, which we will now make public, in November 2025, Defendant Carroll created a detailed bombing plot to use explosive devices to attack 5 or more locations across Southern California on this upcoming New Year's Eve. Carroll and her co-defendant, Zachary Page, led the effort to obtain and build the bombs and to recruit others to join in their plot. Carroll's bomb plot was explicit. It included a step-by-step instructions to build IEDs or improvised explosive devices and listed multiple targets across Orange County and Los Angeles. Carroll also made clear her desires. She said, quote, "What we are doing will be considered a terrorist act." Carroll and Page also discussed plans for follow-up attacks after their bombings, which included plans to target ICE agents.
This sounds like the Gretchen Whitmer plot. Yeah, except the difference there is right-wing white nationalists are way more prominent and way better organized. Because, like, there is no equivalent to the Proud Boys on the left, right? There is no centralized structure of street militants that engage in like street violence with regular frequency. The closest you can get to is like Black Bloc, but that's not a centralized movement at all. Anti-fascism is an act, not an actual movement, right? Like, while there was definitely federal law enforcement agents like putting their hands on the scale with the Gretchen Whitmer stuff too, in this circumstance, like, the amount of push that you need to do, the amount of manipulation that you need to engage in is far more significant, in my opinion, because there's no real mobilization taking place of this sort on the left at all. It's just simply something that people say is happening, but it's usually not something that's happening at all. Partially because there is no real, like, major organized left. There is, however, an organized right. They're far more organized, down to more extremist elements, and far more willing to engage in acts of violence, and have engaged in acts of violence. There's no left equivalent to, like, Atomwaffen, you know?
Agents and vehicles with pipe bombs. Carroll stated that those plans would, quote, take some of them out and scare the rest. Throughout early December, the co-conspirators discussed their plans during an in-person meeting in Los Angeles and through an encrypted messaging application. As part of the plan, the 4 defendants plan to build test bombs in the Mojave Desert. You're going to hear more details about the bombs they intended to build and how the operation went down in the desert here shortly from the FBI Assistant Director in charge. In preparation for the plan, the co-conspirators purchased multiple pieces of bomb-making materials and discussed their travel plans to the desert. Last Friday, December 12th, the defendants took a significant step to carry out their plans. They traveled to the remote campsite, which you're going to see some video of, in the desert, and they began unloading their bomb-making materials to assemble and test the bombs. They had everything they needed to make an operational bomb at that location, and they were subsequently arrested by the FBI before they could build a functional explosive device. Shortly after the defendants were taken into custody, the FBI executed multiple search warrants, including at the defendants' Southern California residence and other locations throughout the country. I'll highlight some of the items found during those searches over the weekend. For example, in Carroll's residence, law enforcement found multiple posters and materials associated with Turtle Island Liberation Front, including posters stating, quote, "Death to America, long live Turtle Island and Palestine," and quote, "Death to..."
Was this literally written by the FBI agent? This must have been written by the FBI agent. No American says death to America. The only people saying death to America are LARPing, copying like a poorly translated chant from Farsi. It doesn't even really mean death to America. It's more like the downfall. It's not even really like, it's not a really good translation. That's so funny.
ICE, Turtle Island Liberation Front. In Page's residence, law enforcement found a copy of the detailed bomb attack.
Did you see a BE-style radical ex-chatter that was chastising Hassan yesterday for doing Dem entryism and caring about electoral politics? These kind of chatters probably would immediately fall for this FBI psyop. Well, I mean, listen, I don't believe in quixotic actions. I'm not here because, you know, I'm a narcissist. I don't want to win by becoming famous for getting arrested by the FBI. That sounds like an L to me. I like revolutionaries that don't lose. I like revolutionaries that win. You know, I like the revolutionaries that don't get captured.
Plan. This case is another reminder about the dangers that radicalized Antifa-like groups pose to public safety and the rule of law. Through the tireless work of our prosecutors in my office and our law enforcement partners, which you will hear from today, we disrupted this terror plot before buildings were demolished or innocent people were killed. But this is not the end of our work. My office is committed to extinguishing the far-left terror threats that we face, and will continue to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The 4 defendants arrested will make their initial appearance this afternoon at the federal court in downtown Los Angeles. They are each considered innocent until proven guilty. I will now turn it over to the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI LA office, Akil Davis.
It's a place already famous across the world.
No, you gotta give me more. I need more about this group, please. Black Lotus is a villain group in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, I need to see more from this very valid, very real, very legitimate, revolutionary left militancy that they thwarted. Wait, this is a video? Watch. 4 radical members of Turtle Island Liberation Front who call themselves the Order of the Black Lotus are seen constructing pipe bombs in the Mojave Desert. Accused ringleader Audrey Carroll told an FBI confidential human source at the time, "What we're doing will be considered a terrorist act." Hey, speaking to the microphone again, I couldn't catch it. I mean, can you tell me that one more time? Now we know why they can't stop school shooters or even catch them. We were talking about where the funds went in the FBI. Now you know. Why would they go out to the desert to construct pipe bombs? That could be done in someone's basement. Yeah, but you can't get a fucking drone footage like this if you do it in some...
They have to have a basement. Basements in Los Angeles? Bro, that's expensive.
Someone's basement. If it's even real at all.
Does anyone even have a basement in LA? Who has basements? They have to be really rare.
And not like entirely made up by the FBI. This is the clearest case of entrapment of all time. The 4 allegedly conspired to carry out the bombings on New Year's Eve at 5.
The reason why basements are rare in California is because the ground doesn't really freeze. So because the ground never freezes, you don't need a basement. Whereas in the Northeast, you dig below the frost line. Well, you're already 5 feet down. You might as well go go a couple feet deeper while you have the backhoe out there, and you have another level for the structure. Basements are more expensive than building vertically. I don't know if you guys know this, but they are. It's cheaper to build up than it is to build down. Surprise, surprise. So that's why you only see basements in places where it is economically or structurally justifiable. Two-story homes are also less common in SoCal. Very true. Which is actually crazy because, again, building up is cheaper than building out. Having everything on one level is actually more expensive because land is more expensive than air. To build vertically, it's not that expensive. Like, you need a little bit more structural support, but you're already supporting a roof. So you're talking about very marginal costs to build up. Contractor in Oregon here, no basements out here, mostly because of no frost. Constant moisture leads to more damage and insurance claims. Yeah, that's true. The basements are probably more musky. You need to have like dehumidification. Once you get a pipe burst on a house built in 1960 sitting on a concrete slab, you wish for basements. Oh, I bet.
More Amazon-type logistics centers operated by two identified companies in Orange County and Los Angeles. The accused domestic terror cell members Audrey Carroll, 30, Zachary Page, 32, Tina Lai, 41, and Dante Anthony Gaffield, 24, aka Nomad, will make an initial appearance in a Los Angeles federal court Monday.
Anytime you see a single-story residential structure, that's probably economically wasteful. People do not like to hear that, but it is true. Like, having a 4-bedroom ranch is fucking nuts.
Verdant Force and Black Lotus are both Magic the Gathering cards. This is 100% made up. I mean, look, if there's one thing you can bank on, it's that this administration will f it up no matter what, which is precisely the reason why I have very, very little confidence. Even when they're more competent, they still always did rely on entrapment with regular frequency and failed to criminally charge or failed to convict people on stuff like this. And this is an extra incompetent administration, so who knows? But I suspect that if it's even real at all, it would probably be like the FBI informant. Like, the assessment will be, how much was it the FBI informant or the FBI assets own personal involvement that got them to this, got them to even build something like this? You know what I mean? If it's just mostly when the WhatsApp group chat is leaked or when the Signal group chat is leaked and it's the FBI informant constantly being like, listen up, comrades, we got to do more direct action. It's not enough that we're protesting. It's cool that we wrote the death to ICE placards on the protest, but we got to do more than just protest, comrades. We have to go out in the desert and build pipe bombs. Trust me, when it's like that, when that's the guy leading the conversation, most normal systems of law enforcement, most normal courts are going to look at that and be like, what the f are you doing? This is not normal, though. I mean, courts are somewhat normal still. They haven't fully destroyed the court system yet.
I'm sorry, chat. I was muted. Vio was singing it. Vio was out here singing this.
He stood unshaken, a voice in the storm, a man of conviction, a heart reborn. He spoke the truth when the cost was high. He lived for Jesus, unafraid to die.
I mean, listen, I don't mean to be a fact checker here, but Charlie Kirk, he looked a little scared to me. I would be scared too. I just don't think you should lie about him right next to Jesus. Like, Jesus says don't tell lies, and then you're doing one immediately after saying his name. That's a little fucked up theologically. Just say, you could say he, like, you could still be a martyr if you're scared. Like, come on. Oh my God, dude. You can't make this shit up. So I guess this guy is the anti-left-wing FBI agent who just goes around.
As I mentioned in my talking points, on December 12th, a group of individuals, again, members of this anti-government group, traveled out to the desert to test their explosive devices. They had precursor chemicals there, and they were going to create these bombs.
Guys, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but pipe bombs being made is probably the least interesting story I've ever heard in my life. Fuck, I heard about people doing that when they were in high school decades ago. Like, what the fuckers? What are we even talking about here? This isn't a real fucking bomb.
In the desert, what they are starting to do is put their chemicals and wares and the components out on the table. Footage that you're watching is from our surveillance plane, and then what happened after this.
Surveillance plane? How many millions of dollars did they spend to entrap these dipshits? I know this guy looked familiar. He's the same FBI official who was asked about agents being at a suspect's house days before a Palm Springs fertility clinic bombing in May. The press conference was shut down right after that question.
Right now is kind of what led us to that nihilist.
Okay, folks, that concludes this press conference. We're done, folks.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for coming here.
Combing through.
He is the ADIC of the LA FBI. He was appointed in 2024 by Ray. Thank God Joe Biden was appointing the anti-leftist crusaders into the Los Angeles field office. Cool. Thanks, Joe. All right, chat. Speaking of laughing at Charlie Kirk, Taylor Lorenz has put out a video about laughing at Charlie Kirk memes and saying they've backfired. Now, there's a bunch of alt-right pipeline shit that's being made.
I had a couple people be like, oh, I thought these were funny and I liked them, and then my feed filled up with like insane stuff.
On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was shot to death in front of a crowd of students in Utah. Just a week and a half later, a massive rally and memorial was held in his honor at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The event was attended by over 90,000 people, and Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and a slew of other high-profile political and media figures praised Kirk and framed his death as the start of a holy war. They claimed that his killing would result in millions of Charlie Kirks.
Get married, have 1 million kids, and live out your American dream. And by doing that, we can create millions and millions and millions of Charlie Kirks, and we can save our land.
Now, I believe with the assassination, with the heinous murder of Charlie Kirk, that millions of Charlie Kirks were created today. That today will be a never forget kind of day.
Almost immediately, mini-me Charlie Kirk clones began cropping up, and far-right Gen Z influencers began attempting to mimic Charlie's viral debate format.
I gotta tell you, people forgot about Charlie Kirk immediately. People forgot about Charlie Kirk immediately. They like everybody was worried that he was gonna be like, you know, the Trumpian Trump was going to take advantage of his murder to do like a big crackdown on the left. And honestly, for a couple weeks, people got in trouble for laughing at his shit. But now it's happening. The right wingers are doing it more, to be honest.
The far right also began cracking down on online speech. At least 600 Americans lost their jobs for saying stuff about Charlie Kirk online, including 50 academic administrators. By contrast, just 22 academics were fired in 2020 for Black Lives Matter commentary and 160 total for pro-Palestine views, meaning the crackdown over Charlie Kirk was the most extreme form of cancel culture we've ever witnessed. Content creators like Asmongold claimed, quote, "This will radicalize a generation." And conservatives for weeks continued to push this idea that Charlie's death would be avenged. But pretty soon, things went off the rails. Hardly a month after Charlie died, his widow, Erica Kirk, was pictured giving an awkwardly close embrace to J.D. Vance in skin-tight pleather pants. Donald Trump pretty much all but forgot about Charlie Kirk, and very quickly, Charlie became a meme. Ryan Broderick is an online culture journalist, and he's been covering the great Kirkification. Today, he's joining me to talk about the rise of Charlie Kirk slop and what it's morphing into. Because as fun as it is to laugh at all the absurd memes featuring Charlie Kirk's face plastered onto like some MPreg emoji or whatever, lately the whole thing has taken a sharp turn, and it's now funneling a lot of people right back into the far right. We're going to dig into this new hyper-online esoteric form of explain the lore behind the mythical city of Agartha. You might have seen these edits of Charlie Kirk flying behind Alex Jones on TikTok or Instagram Reels lately. And we're going to explain what all of this says about the current state of the internet, politics, and culture. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to Power User Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so I want to kind of dive back for people that might have been seeing these Charlie Kirk memes on their timeline, but can't really remember. I feel like we all entered in such a fugue state this fall, like how this all began. When did this sort of like Kirkification begin? When did things move from memorializing, eulogizing Charlie Kirk to memeing him? How did that all start?
I was surprised to find out that it happened pretty much immediately. Best as I can tell, like within a week of his death, there were memes about him. These early memes were not exactly making fun of him. They were being passed around, particularly people in like the cryptocurrency world who were making like AI generated videos about what if Charlie Kirk was brought back as the Terminator. A lot of these are super racist. And the idea was sort of to venerate him while also playing with it and having fun with it. And then we've just sort of seen these memes kind of devolve over the last, couple months.
Some people were, of course, memeing the day of, and like,
well, it looks like that Kalshi market resolved to know. I guess that Kalshi market resolved to know.
The like hashtag Charlie squirt and like some of the content then was out there. And then like there was this sort of crackdown and policing of social media. People were potentially getting fired from their jobs. I feel like it pulled back. And you saw a lot of AI slop that wasn't necessarily intentionally memeing him, but like
what in God unholy algorithm did I just watch? AI slop of Charlie Kirk and Heaven defending Israel from Greta and Hamas is making the rounds. An evangelical influencer is weeping on camera over it. You know what I noticed, chat? I'm starting to feel like we're entering an era where every like gradation in intelligence is starting to become more and more detectable. And like a lot of people that you just kind of assumed had an inner monologue or like ability to like cognize or imagine things, and they're like fucking NPCs out there, and they just love this AI slop. It's almost like giving them an imagination. I think I understood it. Like if you lack the ability to have an imagination, the AI is like constructively giving you an imagination. So that's why they're so enraptured by it, because they don't have an imagination. So this is the first time they can like see one, like they can like see their imagination that if they had one exist. Fucking crazy.
The one where he ascends with the flag of Israel around him to God or whatever. That was sort of like, I feel like it ended up as an ironic meme by people on the left, but it wasn't necessarily intended that way.
I personally think it's so funny that like the whole Jesus Israel shit, because like if you talk to like a Netanyahu supporter about Jesus Christ, they would probably like spit on you and they'd be like, yeah, that guy's a fucking false prophet boiling in shit. It's so interesting to see how like the evangelical Christianity supports the Kahanist like Jewish supremacist Israel. Everything is like, all conservatives are truly cucks. Like they're theological cucks, because the Jewish like supremacist fundamentalists they're pouring billions of dollars into consider them to be dopes that are getting tricked and robbed. And it's like, they love it.
And I feel like that sort of seems to be a lot of this stuff, like even the We Are Charlie Kirk song, which went viral. It seems like it started off as serious and then sort of got twisted. So can you talk through kind of like the evolution of just in the first month, like how the memification of Charlie Kirk kind of progressed?
Yeah. So what you're describing, that kind of confusing, like, is this supposed to be serious or not thing? What that is there is a massive chunk of what we would call normies who are super, super conservative and far right now. MAGA is effectively mainstream. And there's a lot of boomer MAGA accounts that make AI generated slop for MAGA boomers. And more sophisticated, more intellectual people on the far right, younger people, they find this very embarrassing. And so if you're on the outside looking in, it's actually very hard to tell what is ironically or genuinely being shared by these different right-wing factions. And
I think that generally that the far right factions, the kind of like Nick Fuentes types, they're literally just enjoying the fact that Charlie's dead, and they are memeing it. They're memeing Charlie's death and turning him into a fascist avatar of anti-Israel white supremacy as a way of dunking on him hard. Whereas the other AI slop is just like, normie conservative grandmas. I don't think the complexity is as deep as he's saying. I think most young people who are making Charlie Kirk memes are doing so to mock him.
a huge chunk of these young people hated Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk was embarrassing. Charlie Kirk was a sellout. Charlie Kirk was the Gen Z, the younger kind of person who sold out to them. So when he died, it kind of became a free-for-all, and you can see this interplay if you look really closely, but like from the outside, it looks ridiculous. Like it all just looks like garbage slop, but there are different people sharing this stuff for different reasons.
Well, let's kind of break down those different facts.
Turning Point USA at 18 with his 76-year-old conservative benefactor that he met, who was enraptured by him.
Of like the fandom and I wouldn't even say anti-fandom, but
it is kind of funny that Charlie Kirk was just a sugar baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Turning Point USA is the equivalent of, God, there's a term for it, but basically when one spouse who's like really, really rich, and then the other spouse who's like basically a homemaker, creates like an ego business, an Etsy shop or a small shop that they could spend time at, kind of play acting like they're doing like a passion project, and the business loses a small amount of money, but it gives that spouse kind of like, you know, a purpose. That's basically what Charlie Kirk's life was. It was sugar baby money, a vanity project for some billionaire. Mike, don't call me out, please. I mean, am I being an asshole here for observing a sociological phenomenon? Am I being a massive asshole for calling out a sociological phenomenon that's obviously real? They're called small businesses. I have a small business. I'm a small businessman. But I don't have a rich spouse who's taking care of me.
The haters, like, I feel like you have the mainstream Charlie Kirk fans that, like you said, are maybe the authentic audience for the most cringe sort of slop out there, which are like the boomers, basically. And then you have the leftists where everything is sort of ironic, and obviously they hate Charlie Kirk because he was like a right-wing extremist. But talk about this other group, because I remember, I mean, in the aftermath of his killing, I feel like a lot of people, including the New York Times, like learned the word groiper for the first time and weren't even aware of sort of like the groiper wars. So can you sort of fill people in on that lore and the different factions within the young conservative right?
Yeah, so let's break it down, right? So we've got MAGA as the new mainstream Republican Party. For all, intents and purposes, they are the boomers. They are the old guard now. I mean, MAGA has been going on for almost 15 years at this point, 10 years, right? So they are seen as old and out of touch. And you have these younger Gen Z extremists. They're called groypers. Their name comes from like an obese Pepe the Frog meme. And their de facto leader is a Holocaust-denying live streamer named Nicholas Fuentes. They aren't really Mexican, as prevalent as they used to be as Nick Fuentes has become more popular.
It's important that you mentioned that he's a half Mexican gay man, virgin at 28. Okay, like it's from he claims to be a virgin. The evidence is that he's gay. It's important that you mention that because the avatar of the new alt-right cannot live up to any of his supposed values. But I want you to understand, chat, that does not matter. Hitler is a perfect example of why that does not matter. Hitler said that the ideal Aryan was what? That blonde hair, blue-eyed, tall, muscular, sharp-jawed. Meanwhile, Hitler is a, stocky, gaunt, a dark-haired, dark mustachio. He didn't embody the fucking Aryan ideal, but yet he was the leader of the fucking Nazi Reich. So just because Nick Fuentes is a gay half Mexican doesn't mean he can't lead some sort of white supremacist movement. Stocky and gaunt. I meant gaunt-faced and short.
But their attitudes have spread. They're extremely xenophobic. They're extremely isolationist. They don't want any American military presence outside of the U.S. They believe in eugenics. They believe in no voting rights for women. They don't really believe in anything, actually, in a way. Like they are, I wouldn't say nihilistic, but they are the total race to the bottom end result of
yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Decade under Trump's thumb, and they believe that Trump is being held back from being more extreme. And they hated Charlie Kirk to the point where they would show up and they would heckle him in real life, to the point where the shooter was believed to have been a groyper initially by the FBI or by certain journalists. It's a little uncomfortable to say this, but they have a sense of humor that is very irony based in the same way a lot of hardcore leftists are, and they're aware of this. And so they'll insert like super niche neo imagery or references into their stuff, hoping that it's ironically shared.
Okay, Agartha, It's a combination of so many like esoteric fringe ideologies. There's a little bit of like black national Yakubian theory. There's like Nazi mysticism. There's like aliens did it, like aliens created white people. It's like a combination of a bunch of like really fringe, all being kind of congealed into a meme. It's basically Nazi member berries. For the always
by
online.
leftists, spread by people who don't know what they're talking about, and they really just want to dogpile any trending topic, and Charlie Kirk's death was the biggest trending topic of the year.
Let's like kind of explain, I guess, like the different types of memes that have arisen, like in the sort
monsters.
of Kirkification, because I feel like we've seen stuff evolve, like actually towards more of those extreme spaces, like more of the content today. I think the meme content about Charlie Kirk today fits in line with the stuff that you're just talking about versus sort of what it was before. So right after Charlie died and like the memes that were posted at that point, when do you think that meme culture evolved to kind of become dominated mostly by these like hyper online like extremists?
So the Charlie Kirk Terminator stuff was definitely the first one. It's like an AI generated web series about what if Charlie Kirk was brought back as a cyborg, and then him and Hitler, Alex Jones, like traveled around the world beating up black people and liberals and stuff. And it's promoted by a lot of cryptocurrency people, and it's been kicking around since September. So that's like the first big one. Then you also have leftists that are trying to push exactly how offensive they can be about Charlie Kirk. And this dovetailed with the Trump administration really going all in on revering Charlie Kirk as a martyr. So as Trump became more hysterical about Charlie Kirk's death and how we should all honor it, the more it became a taboo that people could sort of start to manipulate or play with. And so this is what
transgress is the word you're looking for, sir. And that's like most of right-wing content is it's like this transgressive element. I think a lot of people underestimate how much alt-right content is literal children, and they're 15-year-olds and they grow up in conservative families and they're trying to transgress. They're rebelling to the right. And so they're transgressing taboos because that's fun as an adolescent.
Where you start to see people using Kirkin on it as a euphemism for oral sex because he's the throat goat. This is where you start to see the kind of like dicks out for Harambe style absurdist dark humor about Charlie Kirk's death. I saw a conspiracy theory being passed around, ironically, that he didn't die, his neck just did that. Like there's all this kind of stuff circulating. And this is happening like late September, early October. And as this is happening in the background, a lot of AI generated accounts targeting conservative boomers are making insane AI slop about Charlie Kirk. This is also showing up in like mega churches where Charlie Kirk is like being AI generated into a video where he's talking to Jesus. And as these accounts become more popular, people start discovering more and more surreal, weird, AI generated, genuinely shared Kirk content. All of this starts to collide last month, basically. And this is where you get, you know, the AI face swaps of Charlie Kirk, the deep fakes where they're taking his face and they're putting it onto like rappers and famous memes.
Yeah, how did that start? Because I feel like suddenly every single face that you started to see on the internet.
We now have people whose jobs is to be meme experts. In a certain way, it's kind of my job. Bongino out. FBI's #2 quietly tells colleagues he's moving on. Controversial deputy director has cleared out his office. Didn't even make it a year. Speculation and anticipation have gripped the nation's premier law enforcement agency over the future of one of its top leaders, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. I can't believe that's a number. That's a sequence of words I have to understand in my brain.
That was replaced with Charlie Kirk.
I can tell you how it started because I reached out to the person who started it and they ghosted me, and I'm very mad about it. So right now they're going by Money Spread. They're an account on X that just makes tons and tons of these. And I did reach out to them and they talked to me very briefly, and I asked them like, what are your political views? And they completely ghosted me, which I don't really know what to make of that. It could be that they are a groyper and they thought it was funny. It could also be that they just don't care at all and they realized that like it was pissing people off or making people laugh and they kept doing it. And then that has spread. And then as that's spreading, we have ton of Charlie Kirk like groyper slop spreading around TikTok. So this is the stuff that we can go further into about like Agartha and Hyperborea. And then we also have the AI generated song We Are Charlie Kirk, which goes viral after it's already gone viral among conservatives. So basically like apolitical posters and leftists and liberals discover that it's so popular on Spotify, and then that goes viral in its own way. So now there's tons of remixes. And so
Oh shit. Okay, I need to hear these. We need to take some time. We need to take some time and we need to enjoy this. Okay, what is the channel? DJ Meddler. DJ Meddler. Wait, is he not? Did I misspell it? DJ underscore MEDLER. I got it right. Okay, it's right here. Okay, finally popped up. Sorry.
We are Charlie Kirk. We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the Guinness Book of his name. We are Charlie Kirk. His courage our own. Together unbroken, we'll make heaven known. Tell me what you know about dreaming, dreaming. We are Charlie Kirk.
Oh, this one is good.
Counting or not counting gang violence? 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence?
We are Charlie.
Yep, Charlie and Epstein are in the same place for the same reason.
It's basically like all these different corners of the internet are making fun of Charlie Kirk and making fun of the martyr status that was sort of imposed upon him by the administration. And the point that I've tried to make in a couple different pieces, including one in the Rolling Stone, is that Trump has always sort of succeeded by not having standards, by not respecting anything, by not really caring, by being this sort of cultural wrecking ball. And that veneer kind of broke in September. Right. Because suddenly they're making us do like flags at half mast for him, and there's, you know, televised funerals for him and all this stuff. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're like, if the administration cares about something, that means that we can bother them.
And I think that's exactly right. And I've been thinking about this a lot. Is part of the reason I am the way that I am is it's a conscious decision to be a little bit more of a abrasive dick. And not do this like mamby-pamby soft, like we have to have empathy for everyone bullshit that so many leftists try to push on you because that's what their comfort, that's what's safe to them and their brand, right? Because like if you say anything that's a little bit mean, you might offend the wrong person. And so they pretend like that's the right way to do it politically, when in reality, it's the low risk way to build their brand. And I don't have an interest in that. If my brand takes damage because I was too mean to Charlie Kirk, too fucking bad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that. And that authenticity is what actually makes people want to watch me, as opposed to a lot of the other people who are, you know, so brand focused.
Mess with them, we control them, and that is a first. Actually, I think it's kind of amazing to find like the one red line for Trumpists, and now that people have found it, both leftist and extreme right-wing people, extreme far-right people are triggering MAGA that way. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it's kind of also just like seems like so the opposite of what people were claiming in the wake of Kirk's death, when there was the big, you know, rally in Arizona, and they're like, we're going to have 1 million Charlie Kirks, and like you started this movement, or you had the MAGA moms being like, I'm raising my lions, you know, to stand up to the woke culture. And it seems like it just sort of backfired on them.
I think it absolutely backfired on them. And historically it does. I mean, you don't even have to go that far back in history, but like, you know, the guy who built a contraption to kill the prime minister of Japan, and then his party apologized for their connections to like a scam church, like Luigi Mangione, like political violence does have typically, I don't want to say it gets results, but like it does impact how people talk about stuff and think about stuff. And I think the far right and the right wing in the MAGA world were very naive to imagine that there would just be like a ton of people wanting to line up and become the next Charlie Kirk and literally be put in the crosshairs. Like I think it has had a really chilling effect on certain parts of the MAGA world.
Yeah, it feels like also very quickly it just made the MAGA world seem very corny and boomer and out of touch and lame.
It is fascinating to me that like the biggest impact of Charlie Kirk's death is that everyone around Trump looks like a boring old boomer who sucks. And like is lame. They've always sucked and they've always been awful, but like they look lame now.
Let's dive into the ways that it's sort of like going now, because I feel like you've done a good job of breaking down kind of how these memes are evolving and being weaponized in sort of these more esoteric spaces. I don't even know what to call. Is there like a name for this like weird?
They had to censor out Nazi for the algorithm on YouTube. Worthless sack of shit algorithm. Fuck these people.
Movement on the internet of like the Agartha type stuff.
GQ did like a big list of like all the different Kirk memes flying around right now, and they called them Agarthan Charlie Kirk memes or Agarthan Charlie Kirk edits. That's probably as good as you're going to get, but there are a bunch of these that don't involve Charlie Kirk, and the whole thing predates him.
Well, so let's zoom back and talk about kind of like the evolution of that movement, because I feel like what we're seeing with the Agarthification of Charlie Kirk is, like you said, it's sort of this like movement that was a little bit before him that's kind of like taken him on now as like the face of their like digital content initiatives, I guess. Tell me a little bit about like kind of that faction of posters online and kind of where they emerged from.
So basically, like, Trump loses the election, you know, COVID has hit, Trumpism is feeling a little stale, especially like the whole like Pepe the Frog wave of it, right? And so in lockdown and immediately after, that sort of 2021 to 2022 period that people were sort of describing as like a far right vibe shift, you know, like all that silly stuff. That what that really is a lot of different far right extremists experimenting with finding other forms of fascist iconography and imagery and symbolism that they can play with. And one of the most effective things they stumble across is like occultism, because it fits very well with the kind of new surreal brain rot that's becoming popular with Gen Z. So you start to see the Nazi Black Sun, Sonnenrad stuff pop up, and you start to see schizo wave edits and creepypasta about the Holocaust and this stuff about the lost city of Agartha that only white people can access at the center of the hollow earth. And I sound like a total maniac when I'm talking about this stuff, and you're supposed to. Like, the whole idea is like, what if you create a bunch of memes around the far right that can never be properly explained by people like you and me? Like, that we could never go on CNN and be like, okay, so like all these like racist teenagers on TikTok believe that like there's a secret city in the center of the earth, you know, like that's ridiculous.
Also, I feel like you saw this increasingly like creeping out. You give some examples in your piece that you wrote for Garbage Day.
I think the one thing that they're leaving out is a lot of these memes and the AI shit in general is trading on common celebrity imagery and using and hijacking their personalities with AI slop that's just close enough to real to like trigger that nostalgic connection in our brain, right? Like they just had a Kobe Bryant or, you know, whatever, or you have LeBron or you have JFK. You use these personalities that are from the mainstream and you put them into these like AI slop videos that have just enough verisimilitude that it creates some sort of like interest and connection to your brain in a way that previously corporations had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to get Kobe Bryant or LeBron James to endorse an idea or a product. And now with AI slop, we could throw them in with no effort. They freeze? Probably what happened. They're just stripey. There's another eye and verisimilitude. Sorry. Verisimilitude. You're right. You get my point. And so that's part of the success of these is because there's member berries. So much content nowadays, and I blame millennials for this, but so much content is just like, huh, you remember the Goonies, right? Huh, you remember this lightsaber, right? You remember Darth Vader, right? You remember Jean-Luc Picard, right? And it's just like that. And people like go, I remember that, and they point and they clap like fucking seals. And so that type of content, we're so accustomed to it that with the AI slop, we can now hook into that same kind of brain response. And that causes more reactions and therefore more like interaction, which boosts it in the algorithm. And the algorithm likes when you talk about popular people that have a lot of engagement. So this Nazi slop is really effective at creating all of these elements. The brain rot plus the nostalgia. That's why it's blowing up. And part of the solution is we need to have some sort of regulations where we could control our image, our right of publicity. Like, I should be able to say to OpenAI, do not put me in any of your generated shit. Or if you do, you owe me $1 million. Like, there needs to be some sort of like right of publicity that we reclaim from these AI generators. There needs to be heavy financial penalties against AI companies for generating AI of you against your will. We should have a right to our likeness. And if somebody makes porn of you, or somebody makes a video of you doing something that you would never do, or having you endorse an idea you wouldn't endorse, they should be fucking forced to pay. And I should have to sue and go through multiple layers of trial. It should be like the DMCA. You fucking make a video of me, you owe me.
But you talk about, like, in 2022, the mass shooter in Buffalo used weapons covered in references to these ideas, including that black sun Nazi symbol. There was a whole TikTok trend in 2023, you wrote, where users were making aesthetic fan cams of Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, hoping to, like, dupe unsuspecting TikTok users into sharing them. And yeah, Ron DeSantis had an aide that had a Sonnenrad symbol in his videos. And I don't know if you've seen this recently, but I feel like Hitler's speeches translated to English have also become popular sounds on Reels.
Oh, that's interesting, because they were super popular on TikTok like 2 years ago. During that whole Fash Wave classical art fan edit era, they were also doing the AI translated speeches of Hitler. So, I mean, that just proves that like Meta products are 2 years behind like everything else, right? Oh, you guys just got AI translated.
Like, I mean, this shit is like if I search it, interesting as fuck 2 years ago. See, he called it perfectly. Hitler translated English in his original voice with AI. Someone from Germany commented, it actually sounds way more fucked up and over the top in German. His frantic screaming and cadence isn't really well translated with the AI version. What's also kind of lost in translation is the Austrian accent. He does a lot of R rolling. If you were to do a Hitler impersonation anywhere in Germany, everyone would know who you impersonate just by his accent and his, let's just say, flamboyant way of intonation. I also think there's a reason many heavies in movies that are supposed to be German sound over the top, because they sound like Hitler and not the way a normal German speaker would talk.
Meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich my work for correctness, that I have been diligent, that I have worked, that I have advocated for you in these years, that I have been decent. I have spent my time in service of my people. Now cast your vote. If yes, stand up for me as I have stood up for you.
What's going to happen in the legal system when someone says that's AI when a video is presented of them committing a crime, or the inverse, the state said, here's a video evidence of you committing terrorism, but it's actually AI? Yeah, exactly. The answer is a lot of people who are innocent are going to be convicted for a long time. And then eventually we're going to hopefully figure out a way of like releasing those people. That same thing happened with DNA evidence. DNA has been used to convict a lot of people that were not guilty.
Hitler, that's crazy. Like, welcome to Instagram. Yes, there is like a actually concerted effort from the top to spread this kind of content, but also this is a lot of people who are just messing around. Like, this is, I want to be really clear that like this is as conspiratorial as just like how fascist stuff works. Like, it's not like there's one person being like, the hot new thing is the Sonnenrad. It's like they're experimenting with stuff, and it's very much like monkeys and typewriters and throwing stuff at the wall, the way it's always been.
Yeah. So after Kirk is shot, you wrote that, you know, this sort of imagery went into overdrive. Can you talk about how it kind of all fed together? Because I feel like really quickly now we started to see like a tsunami of these like Agartha, I guess, all white Charlie Kirk edits, where like Charlie Kirk is also super blonde, like looks very Aryan.
Yeah, he gets an Agarthan makeover, basically. That's the idea, is that like you become blonde and blue-eyed when you go down into Agartha. The reason it's spreading right now, especially after Charlie Kirk's death, is basically what we kind of already talked about, which is that he is a sacred cow. You can attack him. You can piss off older people by doing it. In fact, I did a video about this, like a short little Reels like video being like, hey, like this is a thing, which it did get blocked from being uploaded to TikTok until I had to appeal, which I think is fascinating. But I had a couple people be like, oh, I thought these were funny and I liked them, or I watched them, and then my feed filled up with like insane Nazi stuff. So like it's clearly being used as the tip of the spear on algorithmic platforms. So if they can make stuff that looks like it's making fun of Charlie Kirk, which they love doing because they hated him, then all of a sudden you're going to get hit with like hardcore neo. stuff, and that's happening on like every platform that has an algorithm.
Love it. Where do you see this kind of like evolving? Because I feel like there's also, I don't know, I mean, I feel like we've exhausted a lot of the Charlie Kirk formats. It's starting to slow down. Like, I think he's just going to enter into that sort of like eternal realm where he's always kind of like a present meme, but it's...
What the fuck is this bullshit? This sucks. Fuck this. Fuck this bullshit. Introducing lead moderators, a new role that helps streamers manage their growing communities. No. Fuck this. Fuck this. Why do you dislike this? I don't like the way that nearly every community devolves into cliques where like random people get moderator and then they let it go to their head and they become power hungry little fucking worms and they do relational aggression and they try to hijack the shit, and it's gross. And you see it happen all the time. And it's fucking annoying. Moderators are trusted members of the community that help keep it safe according to the values that the community has built. It shouldn't be some sort of fucking like interpersonal power play. This is just like, I don't like this. Why do you need to be a lead moderator in the chat? What's the reason you want this?
It's not like as funny as it was when you first saw it like a few weeks after his death or whatever. But do you think that Charlie Kirk as a figure will continue to be used by certain factions of the right, either as like somebody to mock or kind of as this example of kind of like cringe MAGA, like millennial lame conservatism?
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I sort of feel like the MAGA movement actually did die with Charlie Kirk, and we'll look back at it as like the moment like the whole thing kind of fell apart. The timing with the Epstein files, I think, also kind of added a bit to this. And in terms of like his meme status, I can't really think of a more fitting end for him than just become the next Harambe. Like, it'll be a thing where like every anniversary there'll be a wave of like offensive Charlie Kirk memes, and like every time the administration tries to like use his memory, there'll be a wave of people making fun of it. He's just like a meme now that like will cycle around the internet forever, like probably the Gen Z equivalent of like making fun of 9/11, or the Gen Alpha equivalent.
It feels like that. I mean, when you look at the new movement that's arising in place of MAGA, because I agree with you, and I think MAGA is definitely like that classic MAGA is on the decline. How do you see those factions like evolving? And like, do you think that sort of younger, more extreme Fuentes-led type movement is going to start gaining real political power?
I mean, according to conservatives in DC, yes. Like Rod Dreyer, like the prominent conservative, wrote a whole Substack post about how he went to DC and every aide was like a genuine neo-Nazi who loved Nick Fuentes. So like that's already happening. Like the young part of the Republican Party are these people. They will have to do the hard work of like seeing if being a hardcore neo-Nazi is good for like getting voters, right? Like, is esoteric Nazi occultism a winning electoral strategy? Like, I don't really think it is. Maybe I'm naive or optimistic about America. I just don't see it working that way. I think as long as we are in like a fair and open democracy, like these guys are not going to do well if they go and publicly like say what they believe.
I kind of agree with you, but also kind of like it is undeniable that they're pulling more people to the right. And like, you're right that if they go out and start talking about like Agartha or like doing those weird Nazi symbols, like, yeah, that's off-putting to a certain number of like normies. But I also just think a lot more like normie people are becoming pilled, and like the culture generally is becoming more reactionary and right-wing. And I think that's in large.
I don't know if I agree completely with this. I think what's happened, like what Taylor is calling reactionary, I would call stunted. I think that younger generations are just not moving through stages of maturation. Chat, Vio brought me eggs and toast with some jam. Thank you, WVO. Thank you. Skip the toast. I like the toast.
Part because of the rise of these like that like super young, super extreme like faction on the internet.
You might be right. I might have rose-colored glasses because I just went home for Thanksgiving. But like this theory that I've been sort of
what was I saying? Sorry, I got interrupted. Okay. So she's saying everyone's becoming more reactionary. No, it's just like so much more of the content you see is coming from people that are literal teenagers who have, or young adults who have never like had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, have never worked a job, have never gotten a driver's license. Like, I want you to understand that Gen Z is just, they never babysat for a younger sibling. They have less responsibilities, less social connections, less like actual signifiers of maturation. Like, I got a job when I was 14. I was driving a car at 16. I dated when I was I had my first girlfriend in middle school. Like now you have 25-year-old Gen Zers that have none of those things. They have done none of those things. And it is, so they're like, what they phrase as political is more just kind of general anxieties and fears about certain types of behaviors that once you engage in them, you realize it's not that big a deal. Like dating or having sex. If you've never had sex before, the mystery of sex is probably a dominant narrative in your life. If you're a person that has like a sex life and has dated, you understand that it's an important part of your social and feeling, and you enjoy it, but it's not mystical. It doesn't have this like overwhelming power and anxiety around never having formed a relationship. And there's a lot more virgins than fucking Gen Z. And Gen Alpha, that's just true. They fuck less. They're less interesting. And we spend a lot more time on screens. And so fear of not having those experiences, that anxiety creates a certain type of like weird puritanicalism. Because if you're not having sex, it's a lot easier to start judging the people that are and kind of go like, ew, they're doing it wrong. Ew, they're X, Y, and Z. And it's just a factual weird thing about Gen Z, and we need to figure out a way of like breaking them out of their screen mediated puritanicalism. And they also live with their parents. Yes, of course, you're living with people because of these material conditions. You're not having the opportunity to go out there and be an adult because you're living with your parents, and your parents are fucking restricting you. That's why we need housing. That's why we need free college. That's why we need unions. That's why we need like actual grass touching. Does Gen Z fuck less because they're fashy, or are they fashy because they fuck less? No. I'm saying they're not even really fashy. I'm saying they fuck less because of the material conditions that have changed, that are resulting in us forming less friendships and less relationships. Less relationships equals less romantic relationships. Less friends equals less romantic prospects. The way that social media and online dating create a kind of sociopathic transactional mentality is less conducive to actually forming meaningful relationships. Do you understand how fucking weird it is to go, I want to date people, but only if they're X, Y, and Z physical attribute? That's fucking weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. But it's normalized. And I don't know how to break out of it because it's so normalized now that people probably think I'm being weird for saying it's weird. It's just like attraction should be natural and spontaneous between two people having like a conversation and an in-person interaction. It shouldn't be you looking at a list of fucking check marks and checking them and then having something pop on a screen. That is not, it lends itself to a certain type of mentality, which is just weird and transactional and cold and extractive and objectifying. And that is, we're so far away from like normal fucking, I have really complicated thoughts on pornography, 8-Armed Willie, but like the way that it is now integrated into our society, the way that it's delivered is obviously fucked up. And there's something that needs to change there. But at the same time, a lot of the way that people talk about change is by targeting sex workers, which is the exact opposite of what I want to do. Do you agree that sometimes people are attracted to what they are attracted to? Do you have a spouse? Yes. Okay. You're lying, but it's okay. It's fine. I will accept that. I'll accept that you have a spouse. If you're one of those people and you're like, I am only attracted to X physical attribute, you're fucking weird. So you're a weirdo, is what I want you to know. You have a paraphilia. Now, I'm not saying that some people are not more attractive than others, and that's totally okay and normal and fine. I'm talking about the way that you approach it. If you approach it from physical attribute first, you are objectifying another human being and you're stripping them of their humanity in favor of a fucking attribute, and that is psychotic. And I think it would be horrible for humanity if we had more and more of those physical like, can you imagine a dating website where it's like, I need your cup size, I need your dick measurement, I need your ball weight, I need your I need your nose length, I need your jawline width, I need your, like, can you imagine your head, your hat size, your foot size, your like, bro, that's fucking weird. That's fucking weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. Your asshole circumference. your vaginal depth. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? That's weird. That's fucking weird. I met my wife in college when we were casted as the shoemaker and the shoemaker's wife. Literally days before that, I told myself I was done chasing girls and would just live my life and find someone cool. Yes, that's called being normal. And when you use online dating sites, they push you towards being like that. And it's fucking weird. And the dating site is not incentivized in you finding a wholesome relationship with another human being. It's incentivized to keep you on the app paying subscription fees. The better Tinder is at finding you a long-term partner, the worse Tinder does. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, if you found your relationship through online dating, it doesn't mean it's invalid. I'm just saying that there's a reason why relationships are going like this. Because these tools are not working. They're making things worse. Anyway, I think a better way of dating apps, a better way that dating apps would work would be to like sign up as somebody who's interested in dating and then having vetted, organized meetups where you go and you just kind of vibe with the people that are there, as opposed to like judging an individual profile and like doing a weird fucking like that. Like the way these apps, and even then I have problems with that idea, but I'm just trying to say that they're soul sucking and they're bad. All right, let's keep going.
Had talked about, I sort of think the whole internet broke and like the average person doesn't care about any of this, and that like all of this stuff doesn't matter. I think like a decade of Trumpism has made the internet so ugly and inhospitable that like the average person isn't being red pilled. Like I actually sort of think that like all internet discourse has no value anymore.
Oh my gosh, Ryan, you're coming off Thanksgiving. I'm coming off like 20 hours of watching this guy Clavicular, this Gen Z looks maxing kick streamer that I've been writing something about.
Oh yeah, I've been watching the looks maxing guys on TikTok. They're super funny. I think it's a bit.
I don't think it's a bit for this guy, but I agree. But I think you're right. Most of it is just kids going through puberty. But I don't know. I just don't know. Like the internet does remain like the most powerful communication tool of our time. And
Okay, a lot of it is. Okay, I'm saying wrong and I disagree. There are parts of this that is that. I just said that earlier. So I agree with that. But the idea that the internet doesn't matter is just ridiculous cope. And in fact, it's the opposite. If you look at the last successful major presidential movements, Barack Obama and Donald Trump, the one thing that you'll find they have in common is that they leveraged new communication networks on the internet first. So in 2007 and 8, Barack Obama was able to leverage the beginnings of social media, but even more importantly, the blogosphere, Netroots. And he was able to get around the traditional gatekeepers and start building a support network that got large enough where he was able to defeat Hillary Clinton because he got big enough to get that mainstream attention. And then his natural charisma and his ability to campaign was far better than her. And so he beat her ass. And with Donald Trump, it was the same with social media and Twitter, especially the way that he was able to get his base-tailored messaging out around the gatekeepers and basically blow up the Bush dynasty. He was able to do that because he was leveraging the new communication tools to get around the previous gatekeepers and find access to power centers that he could build off of. The future of politics is streaming. The politician that could activate streaming is a politician that's going to blow the fuck up and win.
Do you think that like, yeah, a lot of people are just like maxing out on brain rot shit and it's all kind of nothing, but it does feel like things have gotten further to the right.
I think American culture is the most right wing it's been since the Bush administration. Like, I think we are very much in like a post 9/11 media environment where everything is very conservative and very reactionary. And in fact, there is a version where like the Groyper wing of the MAGA movement moves us further to the right by allowing coverage for MAGA people to like join the Democrats and move the Democrats right. But also like a lot of sort of early, primary stuff makes me think that that's not true. Like, instead of trying to predict the future, what I will say is that like this stuff is popular to a point, but I think at a certain level of internet discourse, you become completely indecipherable to the average person. And that to me doesn't feel like it helps your political movement if you're just talking nonsense. Maybe I'm too old and naive, but like that's my thought.
No, I do think that like, especially the like Charlie Kirk stuff, like that lore and all of those Agartha edits and all, just the AI edits generally are so full of so many niche internet references. It is like, you feel like you're looking at Italian brain rot or something, where it's like you have to know every single kind of niche symbol to even understand what's happening in like the TikTok. And that is unscrutable to everybody over the age of 17, and like ultimately probably not, like a winning way to kind of convince people of anything. And yeah, I think it's funny that Charlie Kirk's legacy, I guess,
it's not about rational argument. Why the fuck do we have these conversations so often? It's not about rational argument. It's about vibes and letting the individual person rationalize their membership in a group. You don't need to make arguments. You need to make social appeals. And then you let the individual rationalize. That's what Barack Obama did. Hope and change. What the fuck does that mean? You imagine it. You imagine what you think change would be, and then you connect parasocially with Barack Obama. You fill in the fucking blanks, and you vote for Barack Obama, and he gets power. That's the point. The more arguments you make, the more specific you get, the less space you give people to rationalize, which is why that's the danger of leftism, is we become Elizabeth Warrenified, where we throw down a big book of policies, and then the opposition gets to spend their time going through all 90 pages of your policy briefs, and they try to find the one that doesn't poll well, and then they spend all their time talking about that policy that doesn't poll well. So there is a reason that you shouldn't be overly effusive with what you're talking about, because the more you talk about shit, the more space you're giving your opponent, who's not arguing for anything in particular. This is Asmongold versus Hassan. You can literally see it on the internet. Asmongold doesn't believe in anything. He says whatever. He looks at his chat for fucking validation, and he just goes along with whatever's being said. He doesn't believe in anything. He's not arguing for anything. Meanwhile, we have a policy handbook that's 1,000 pages long. So the first thing we need is to recognize that the right doesn't care about ideas. It's about domination and power and feeling part of a group and having an X-out group to demonize and bully and destroy. Like that black woman that conservatives always bring up on election night. My kids are going to be fed. My bills will be paid. Obama never said any of that. That sounds like AI slop, but maybe somebody said that. I don't know.
Is ultimately just going to be as like a meme and a punchline. And I don't think any of those younger Charlie Kirk wannabes have gotten any traction either. I mean, do you think we'll see another sort of Charlie Kirk in our lifetime?
No, in fact, my pet theory was that like the major reaction we've seen mourning Charlie Kirk from the Trump administration and like prominent conservatives is that like he was their only hope for replacing Trump. Like J.D. Vance can never be Trump. Elon Musk can't even really do what Trump does. And I think that like a lot of ways, Charlie Kirk was grown in a laboratory to be this like influencer president replacement to the TV show president. And without him, they have nothing, because like that takes a long time. It's not going to be Tim Pool or Ben Shapiro or that kid whose name looks like a captcha, Bradland Holland or whatever. None of these people can do it. So like without that, they're going to have to run traditional Republicans who might not be totally on board with the whole taking over America thing, or they're going to have to run alt-right weirdos who don't know how to talk like normal people. Charlie Kirk was the only thing they had that kind of bridged that gap, and he's gone. Maybe Erica Kirk, but she's a woman. They would never do that.
No, they're not going to. Although I do think the first woman president is going to be right wing.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, that happened in the UK. So
do you think it's like problematic? I've seen a lot of scolding of people, especially in the past couple of weeks, like of making fun of Charlie Kirk and saying like, oh, this is being used as a tool for the right. Do you think it's a problem for leftists to share a few Charlie Kirk memes for fun?
I share them all the time. I think they're super funny. I think everything making fun of Charlie Kirk is super funny. All that said, there is no way to safely engage with any right-wing content on the internet right now without triggering that algorithmic effect. And that is just something you have to sort of take into account. If you're doing it on Blue Sky, you're probably fine. If you do it on X, you are absolutely probably going to trigger some kind of algorithmic cascade of neo-Nazi content for another user. Same with TikTok, same with Reels. Up to you, like whether you care about that. But like, so I was just having this conversation with June, who hosts the podcast Kill the Computer, about like irony cannot defeat irony. And like, it is so easy and it feels so good to like ironically share MAGA boomer slop and like talk like Trump and do all that stuff, but you are helping them. That is just a fact. And unfortunately, like being genuine and earnest seems like the best course of action, but like, God, that.
Okay. As a millennial, I get it. I like being genuine. I like being earnest. You know, I get it. It feels good. It's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think one of the things that we need to do in this society is let being genuine and earnest get cool again, right? We need to have the irony poisoning die. But in large ways, that was a reaction to the earnestness of millennials. That's how Gen Z was differentiating themselves from us. It was natural. It was natural that it was going to happen. We came on social media and we just earnestly projected ourselves without a mask. And Gen Z saw that. And they saw how people were getting criticized or made fun of, and they learned how to brandify themselves, how to put on a social media mask and distance themselves from being challenged in the panopticon through irony. They never mean it. It's always a joke. That saves them from ever being truly perceived or criticized. God forbid. Okay? So I get it. As a millennial, I want everyone to be earnest. I get it. I want you to understand that I get it. But we also need to synthesize. We need to be capable of using ironic humor, of being a little bit of a dick, while also at the same time having a core and something we believe. You can do both. You don't have to pick one. And I feel like saying that it's helping them by making fun of Charlie Kirk is you're giving them too much. We need to have targets. I'm going to say it. This is my most controversial take. We need to have targets to hate. And if you are somebody who doesn't believe in that, you need to pipe down and be a little bit quieter, because there are a lot of evil ass motherfuckers on the planet that we have to deal with. And when people are like, what targets? Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Asmongold. And when I say targets, I don't mean like do anything to them. I mean criticize, target of criticism. Ethan Klein, Tucker Carlson. We have enemies. And we also, and we're human. Asking everyone to always be a saint, to never let out any aggression, to never let out any of their frustration. Your movement's too boring. You have to allow some of the libidinal desires to be released if the left is going to exist. We need to be able to be a little bit dirtbaggy. We need a little bit of punching back. And I'll give you an example of punching back that makes me laugh. Government retreats on victims of communism memorial names and aftermath of Nazi controversy. The controversial monument approaches its first anniversary. The Department of Canadian Heritage has reversed course on the names originally meant to be inscribed on it. The controversial Victims of Communism Memorial in downtown Ottawa will no longer feature the names of specific individuals after federal officials determined a significant number could be linked to the Nazis. The memorial, located near the corner of Wilmington and Bay Streets, was intended to honor those who suffered under communism. But concerns have been raised over the years by Jewish organizations and historians that if the names of Eastern Europeans who collaborated with the Nazis in the Holocaust have been put forward in an attempt to whitewash their past. The Ottawa Citizen reported in 2024 that the Department of Canadian Heritage was told by historians that more than half of the 550 names to be inscribed to the memorial to victims of communism should be removed. The reason was because of potential links to Nazis or questions about affiliations with fascist groups. As originally planned, there were to be 553 entries on the memorial's wall of remembrance. Canadian Heritage has now reversed course on inscribing specific names. The government of Canada has emphasized that all aspects of the memorial to the victims of communism must align with Canadian values of democracy and human rights. The wall of remembrance will now solely feature thematic content that conveys the broader commemorative and educational intent of the memorial. He declined to say what the department meant by thematic content. They wanted to put up a Victims of Communism memorial. It cost $7.5 million and it has no names on it. $7.5 million grifted and it doesn't have any names on it. Now, if this is not a perfect example of American, Canadian, and Western politics, I don't know what is. This is true, fine, modern art. The memorial to the victims of communism has already been the focus of multiple controversies over its exact purpose, location, size, and cost. The price tag for the project ballooned to an estimated $7.5 million, including $6 million in public funds From an original budget of $1.5 million, the memorial, originally started by the conservative government of then Prime Minister Stephen Harper, was supposed to be funded entirely through private donations. But taxpayers are now footing most of the bill as that private fundraising initiative fell far short when significant public financial support did not materialize. You don't fucking say. They stole your taxpayer dollars for a fucking monument to nothing. The memorial was opened on December 12, 2024. At that time, Ludwig Kowski, who leads Tribute to Liberty, the organization behind the memorial, said the names would be added within a year. But when Kim Kowski spoke at an official opening about adding the names, a protester shouted, "No Nazis." In 2021, the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center revealed that Roman Skvechk, a Ukrainian nationalist who collaborated with the Nazis and was linked to the massacres of Jews and Poles, was among those being commemorated by the memorial. Only after the Holocaust Education Group repeatedly raised the matter with Canadian Heritage was his name removed. In May 2025, it was revealed that the name of another Nazi collaborator was initially engraved on the monument, despite warnings to the Department of Canadian Heritage in 2021 that the man participated in the executions of Jews during the Holocaust. The nameplate commemorating Janis Nidra was installed in the memorial in 2023, according to government records released under the Access to Information Act. It was later removed. Research data provided to the department in 2021 showing that Nidra led a group of 40 men to help the Nazis round up and execute 350 Latvian Jews. Those killed were women, children, and senior citizens. Nidra, who would later go on to serve the Nazis in various positions in Latvia, came to Canada after the war. He died in 1969. Hey, chat, why did Canada let Nazis who executed children come to Canada? Why aren't we deporting these Nazis? I don't know. The memorial was to be unveiled in November 2023, but that was put on hold after members of the parliament honored Yaroslav Hunka, a Ukrainian soldier with the Waffen SS Galicia division. The online news outlet The Maple reported 2023. Hunka's division was a voluntary unit that was under the command of the Nazis. The decision by the MPs to give Hunka a standing ovation to the House of Commons became an international embarrassment for Canada. In December 14, 2024, post on the social media platform X, Kim Kowski responded to concerns that the monument was honoring Nazi collaborators. Let's stop this nonsense of Nazi commemoration nonsense perpetuated by Canadian Marxists and the agents of the Kremlin's regime, Kim Kowski wrote. The Holocaust scholars and Jewish groups have continued to denounce claims that their efforts to expose Nazi war criminals and collaborators are part of some Russian plot or disinformation scheme. The fact that some Eastern Europeans played key roles in the Holocaust and supporting the Nazi regime is well documented, they add. Federal officials and other departments have also continued to warn Canadian Heritage that the inclusion of Nazi collaborators on the memorial would cause international embarrassment. It is also important to note that many anti-communist and anti-Soviet advocates and fighters were also active Nazi collaborators who committed documented massacres. Global Affairs Canada officials warned their counterparts at Canadian Heritage in 2021. Those records were obtained by the Ottawa citizens using the Access to Information law. And this is literally what you need to know. Like, when you hear about victims of communism, understand that you're looking at Nazi propaganda, literally. And the fact that the United States of America and Canada and much of Western Europe is okay with whitewashing Nazis to attack the left should tell you something. And I think there is no better example, no better piece of art than a victim of communism memorial that cost $7.5 million that doesn't have any names on it. Can we laugh at this too? Biden has raised little of what he needs to build a presidential library. The Library Foundation told the IRS that by the end of 2027, it expects to bring in just $11.3 million, not nearly enough for a traditional presidential library. Who knew that being a genocidal maniac who betrayed his entire party in order to work with Republicans to fund Israel's genocide and do Trump's immigration policies and normalize them would lead to everybody hating your ass? Former President Joseph Biden has raised only a small fraction of the money needed to construct a presidential library, leaving uncertainty about the library might be built and its viability as a standalone project. He's going to have to get bailed out by Delaware. I cannot imagine anyone going to the Biden presidential library. I literally can't. What's he's going to say how much he loves segregationists? What are they going to do? Play his fucking eulogy to Strom Thurmond? Like, what are we going to do at the Biden library? Wow, he fought against integrating schools. Wow, he called all these multiple segregationists his biggest mentors. Wow, he supported all the horrible wars. Wow, he started mass incarceration. Wow, he caused student loans to not be declared, you cannot declare them in bankruptcy. Wow, he made credit card debt more difficult to get out from under. Wow, he helped deregulate the financial industry that led to the fucking global recession. Wow, he supported Israel's genocide. What the fuck are we going to celebrate? He lost to Donald Trump so badly he had to drop out. What the fuck are you going to celebrate? Partly because of the poor fundraising, discussions are underway about consolidating a potential Biden library with the pre-existing Biden institutions at the University of Delaware. That might allow the library to take advantage of the millions of dollars that the university, the former president's alma mater, had already raised to build a Biden Hall. So far, some of Mr. Biden's most loyal contributors said they had not been contacted by anyone about giving to the library. Other Democratic donors have said that even if Biden asked them, they are unlikely to give money because they are focused on fighting Trump or embittered by Biden's term in office. John Morgan, a longtime Democratic donor who was one of Mr. Biden's top bundlers, said he would not give a penny to the former president's library, citing poor treatment from Mr. Biden's staff. The Biden staff, they have ruined any type of good library for him, Mr. Morgan said. He'll be lucky to have a bookmobile. As a point of contrast, Mr. Morgan said a dinner with former President Bill Clinton last week to discuss possible donation to his library for an expansion. Mr. Morgan said Mr. Clinton and former President Barack Obama kept much better relations with their donors and supporters, which has enabled them to build large foundations and libraries. You know, we were making fun of Biden, but this is even more pathetic. Ugh. 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 Aides to Mr. Biden declined to make him available for an interview. His library foundation said in a statement that it has delayed holding fundraisers until now to allow for intensive research, including visits to other presidential libraries. Mr. Biden, who turned 83 this fall, has also been distracted. He has undergone radiation therapy for prostate cancer and has skin cancer lesions removed, and he has been working with the historian Ted Weidmer on his memoir, according to people close to Mr. Biden. On Friday, the Bidens will meet with supporters for a reception in Washington hosted by Elizabeth Frowley Bagley, a Democratic donor who served as ambassador to Brazil under Mr. Biden. God, the way our ambassadorships are sold to donors, fucking crazy, dude. Modern presidential libraries are enormous, including museums, event spaces, and other add-ons. Mr. Obama's unfinished presidential center in Chicago. Bro, you were president. You ended almost a decade ago. You can't finish your fucking pyramid. Like, how much more do you need, Pharaoh Obama? Like, what the fuck's happening here? Jesus Christ. Can you imagine the Donald Trump and Barack Obama presidential library dueling like pyramids where they're just both pharaohs dressed in gaudy gold cloaks and all their aides are like mummified and buried next to them in tombs? It's gross. Barack Obama and Donald Trump as pharaohs. Their narcissism will power the next generation of America's green energy transition. Jesus Christ. It is not technically a presidential library since it will not include hard copies of White House documents. It will include a vegetable garden, a branch of the city library, and a basketball gym. Obama raised $1.5 billion so far. Trump plans a library in Miami, says he wants to raise more than $950 million before he leaves office. That has led some Biden's Library Foundation was incorporated in December 2024. Its only fundraising for that year was $4 million transfer from Biden's presidential inaugural committee. That was more than half of the committee's $6.9 million in leftover funds. Mr. Peck said the inaugural committee had not decided what to do with the remainder. That led some Biden donors to urge another idea, merging the president's library with the University of Delaware's existing Joseph R. Biden Jr. School of Public Policy and Administration. That school, named in Mr. Biden's honor in 2018, already has a Biden Institute and plans to build a large Biden Hall on the campus in Newark, Delaware. The university has raised $22 million for the building, state documents show, including $20 million that the Democratic-led Delaware state government agreed to pay this summer. So they raised $2 million. I legitimately think that Hassan could raise more money for a Hassan library than Biden could for a Biden presidential library. For now, the Biden Hall and the Biden Library are a separate project competing for the same pool of donors. But many loyalists say they hope the library could be housed inside the hall, turning two projects into one. That might be Mr. Biden ends up with a much more modest library than Mr. Obama or other recent presidents with huge freestanding buildings, but it could sharply reduce the amount Mr. Biden needs to raise. We continue to be in an exploratory and planning phase, says Kelly Scully, a spokesperson for Mr. Biden. 1,000 comments. A perfect reflection of his time in office. Such damage done. It's time for politicians, public service to start practicing one of the great virtues which many constituents live by: humility. If Biden had expanded the Supreme Court to 13 and put Trump in prison, fundraising would be easier. He had such small vision when taking office. Damn. I believe Biden is a good man, but he and his wife made an awful decision, so I don't have much sympathy. His decision to run again and then anoint the underwhelming Kamala Harris as soon as he stepped aside is why we're now experiencing Trump 2.0. The selfishness and lack of self-awareness was maddening. Does it really matter? How many Americans have been to presidential libraries anyway? They smack of personality cult and self-aggrandizement. The very idea is inimical to true democracy. Have one centralized presidential library where historians could do research on our long line of mostly mediocre leaders. I'd like to see a museum commemorating the establishment of universal health care someday. Not holding my breath. Chat, we're gonna win. We're going to fucking win. AOC leads JD Vance 51-49 in hypothetical 2028 poll. That's funny. But also, we thought so. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for supporting the stream. I'm going to call it there and send you over to VO. I'm going to vote so hard. I mean, it's not about voting for AOC. It's more about where the party is going. It's not about AOC winning or AOC's policies. It's more about where normies are going. Normies are coming in our direction. If you're sitting there impatient, too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. Oh, are you feeling impatient? Are things not happening fast enough for you? What are you, a fucking child? It's not about stamping your feet and getting your way. It's about building something. That's hard. That's hard to do. And it takes patient people of strength and determination if we're actually going to get it done. Let your impatience be energy. We need to create sober, patient people who do not despair in the face of horror, the worst horror, and who do not get excited about every little thing. Pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will. Grow up. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the stream today. Thank you for all the support. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll grow up together. We'll become sober, patient people together. Free Palestine.